Wednesday, August 12th. If we would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with
liberty and justice
for all. And we'll be seated. And when you're ready, the roll call, please.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Here.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Here.
Councilmember Lopez?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ponce?
Here.
Mayor Marshall?
Here. Are there any announcements or written communications?
No announcements or written communications.
Okay. Oral communication. This is an opportunity for people of the public to speak on items that are not on the agenda. You'll be limited to 2 minutes and no action will be taken. Do we have any comments? Either here or online? Okay, seeing none, we'll go into general business.
All right, Council, thank you all for being here today. One item really for general business, and it'll take us throughout the day. We're excited to have this opportunity, both myself and department heads, Scott, to be able to have what I hope is a conversation about what we have kind of generally before us, what we're looking at doing over the next, we say 2026, but this goes beyond that. It's kind of where we see our departments, where we see our city going, and we want council's input. And then this afternoon, we look forward to your goals and how we can get you there. So really our 2026 city department head goals. It is our desire to present, you will hear presentations today from myself and city department heads and leaders. You'll receive and file this report at the end, hopefully. And the report summary and the goal is to align the city staff with council for this year and going forward. And for us to have this opportunity to present an update of where we're at. I'm not going to read each and every in the staff report. We have administration. We'll just stick to this order because we have one presentation, and we'll just pass around the remote. So hopefully this will be somewhat seamless, and I'll kick us off here.
Okay.
So we'll start off with administration goals, and I'll just throw out there, if anybody from council has any questions while we're doing this, feel free to interrupt and ask right then and there.
Excuse me.
So administrative goal categories, what we looked at, we could have had a much longer list, but we wanted to focus on these, and that's public transportation, city vehicle ordinance, legislative engagement, short-term rentals, and records management. At the end of that, Bob Greenlaw will come up and present where we're at with the capital improvement plan. And again, these are not all the capital improvement projects going on right now, but really the ones that are either the largest or the most compelling for us. So first of all is City of Avalon Seaside Transit, or COAST. As council is aware, this is 2026 is the second full year of COAST. We started in April of 2024, so last year, 25, was the first full year that we had COAST operating in the city. And it's been, by all marks and measures, it's been a tremendous success. You can see here each year from 24 when it started to 25 to 26, these numbers have been increasing. Between funding and council's approval, we were able to get additional COAST vehicles that will be coming next month to add to the fleet. Our goal was really just to make sure we had a redundancy in these vehicles and we didn't miss days, but with not only the success of the program, but still the need for additional vehicles and people that are missing out because it's too busy. We're going to have conversations about, can we add additional vehicles on the road at the same time? I know we have recently done just a visual study. The harbor master, myself, Devin, we were down at the mole looking, and the peak periods, COAST and the taxi do operate together. The taxi 5-to-1 over the COAST vehicles. That when it's a peak period, the taxi is operating. But I think it becomes more difficult talking with taxi staff as we get into the off season. So, we're looking at different things that we can do with that, but just from a standpoint of where we're at with Coast, the numbers have been increasing every month, every year. Our goals with public transit is, right now we're at an all-time high. The last 5 months, so March, April, May, June, and July of 2026 are the 5 highest months of passengers in the city's history of having public transportation. So Coast has made some changes in their operation and how they're doing this. That's what led a big part to this. But the city intends to grow the transit fleet, as we talked about right now. We have the 2 Ford Transits, passenger vans, one's ADA compatible, and then the GEM vehicles. We're adding 2 more here in September. As we continue to increase the ridership and the number of customers served, we start to see the average wait time. What we're seeing is it's under 10 minutes. It's about 9 minutes, 10 seconds per person. So the average wait time from when you call to get a ride. Now, if you compare us to Uber, it might be, people will say, well, that's too long, but we're not Uber. We're public transportation, and that's what this was designed to be. So if you're waiting at a bus stop and and our wait time is 9 minutes, but you're calling the vehicle and they're coming to you and we're transporting you for $2 a person, I think those numbers are pretty compelling. So we're looking at, because of the ridership and where we're at, increasing fare box revenues by adding, maybe a higher fee to go all the way out to Hamilton Cove from the mall, or a higher fee to go up to the Botanical Gardens, those longer trips, which take that GEM out of service for a longer period of time and increase the wait time. So we're looking at some of those things because our fare box, the revenue we're receiving is going up. Our cost of this program is significantly down from where it was in the old program, and that's how we were able to roll more money into our subsidy program. So we're looking to make it better. Hopefully we understand there's probably still some gaps in that morning period of people wanting to get to the 7:50 boat, and we're trying to figure out how to do that.
Can I ask some questions?
Sure.
So, remind me, what is the subsidy we're giving them now?
For the commuter subsidy?
No, for the, that's a math question.
I'm not sure.
For Coast, how much do we give them?
So Coast is primarily funded with local return funds. So our sales tax, county sales tax, has 4 transportation-specific portions to it, representing 2 of the 10.25% sales tax that's out there. So we collect approximately $500,000 from those 4 sales tax measures. Plus, we also have a Prop A discretionary, which is part of the sales tax measures, that we have to specifically go to the county and ask for each year. So we ask for $1 million each year. Currently, $800,000 of that goes to the commuter subsidy program, so the discount on the express, and $200,000 of that goes to our land transit program, or Coast. So in total, about $700,000 of Coast operating costs are subsidized. I'm rounding, but are subsidized through the county sales tax measures.
And I'm hearing yes or no. Is there still a phone number that people can call to get Coast?
There is a phone number for people to call. We've provided that number to those that just aren't, either challenged or don't want to have the app. But
right,
the difference with the app is the algorithms in the app really make it the most efficient way to utilize Coast. I mean, it just does. So, but we have given that phone number to some of the hotels and some of the people that were providing a phone number that would go to Coast, and they didn't know. So we did establish a phone number, and I don't know if we have numbers, percentage of people that use the number or not, Devin, but we find the vast majority are finding success with the app.
And do you think that Coast is having any problem getting drivers, or is that not a problem?
They've done a pretty good job about getting drivers. They've done a pretty good job about doing some secret shopper coming over here with their staff and not telling their drivers they're here and riding Coast vehicles, and then meeting with them at the end of the day and say, I rode with you twice or did this, and
Yeah.
and they've really ramped that up, which we find has been an improvement in
Right.
the service. So right now they're staffed.
Yeah.
If we start expanding and having more vehicles on, they'll have to hire. So the vehicle ordinance, and I know, or I anticipate that this will be a conversation for this afternoon too, because I've talked with some of you that want to address the vehicle ordinance. And I'm all for it, because I think this is something that we have struggled with. I have struggled with for the last 5 years. So some of the things that we know we would like to change is increasing the size of permittable blue sticker vehicles. That's the length of those vehicles. What we found is the size that's out there, 210 inches or whatever, is just not compatible with what we see are the common vehicle, the Toyota Tundras. So we want to expand the code to allow that to be a permitted vehicle and not to be an oversized vehicle. Because even though an oversized vehicle can be permitted on a blue sticker, they have to go through a hearing. They have to, once they're permitted, they can't, if they ever switch out their vehicle, they can't get a vehicle larger. It always has to be that size or smaller. And talking with the hearing officer, we feel we have a number that's pretty compatible, that will make sense and allow most of the vehicles he sees to be allowed as a blue sticker full-size vehicle. We want to create a process for staff to resolve the oversized residential vehicle issues. This will be a big part of that. Our goal is, if you come off this list to get a blue sticker, we don't believe you should have to go in front of a hearing officer. If we can sit there, measure your vehicle, and you're valid, you should be able to get your blue sticker as soon as you're ready. Shouldn't have to go through a hearing officer, shouldn't have that cost. Only if you have an oversized vehicle and you need to express to the vehicle hearing officer why you need that. Otherwise, we'd like to do it all in-house and make it much quicker. We would also clarify the commercial auto-ed electric vehicle requirement. If you recall, this was one we enacted, and then we had some changes to it from the standpoint of, well, we meant a new vehicle is a new vehicle to the island as compared to a vehicle that is being given a commercial auto-ed sticker. We would like to, whichever council's desire is on that, our goal would be to have, the reason we started with commercial auto-eds as making those required to be electric is you have to have off-street parking. So we're not making people run cords across the sidewalks or hang them in the trees. You have to have off-street parking anyway. We felt it was a good place to start. But what we're finding is a couple things with the commercial vehicles. Number one, people are getting new commercial auto-eds. They're not electric. They're buying them from somebody else here on the island. And also, we feel that commercial auto-eds are the biggest increase of vehicles on the island. People are using commercial auto-eds as a way to get a second vehicle or additional vehicle in their family. We know this for a few reasons. When school starts, you can go up to the school and see the number of commercial auto-eds that are being driven and parked at school all day. So we're trying to do with the hearing officer, he does a secondary after a 1-year anniversary of the issuance to bring them in, say, let's see where you're at with your financials. Are you actually running a business? And if they're not running a business, he's looking at revoking those commercial auto-eds. So, but we'd like to have that conversation with council of how we can make that a better system, because we see this as a pretty large loophole. So determine any overall goals for the vehicle program. Something this afternoon when council comes back. What are your goals for the vehicles? Because I think if we can talk about what the goals are, then we can start figuring out what the code needs to reflect. Are we looking to reduce noise, overall number of vehicles, reduce the number of oversized, improve parking around town? What is the goal? And let's see how we can get there by revamping this ordinance, because I think over the years, we've kind of added things to the ordinance when problems arose, and it's now become a little unwieldy. We have people transferring stickers. Do we want to do that? Do we not want to do that? Let's make it all clear. I think we could probably get this down. Scott and I and staff have worked on a draft vehicle ordinance that I think is 80% there, but we want to hear from council. So legislative engagement, it's again our goal to continue to engage elected officials to pursue legislation and funding opportunities improve what we're doing here. One couple of the things that we are specifically working on is engaging our elected officials over town to get DMV back here. Assemblymember Lowenthal has been very active in this regard. We appreciate that. Again, we are continuing workforce housing supports. Congressman Garcia's office is putting in funding for us. We hope to receive that. That'll open the door for that project. And then also future CIP projects. When you hear Bob talking a little bit, the majority of the projects he's going to address are projects that have grant funding associated with them. Many of these projects were projects that we did the legwork early on. We weren't sure we were going to have funding. We weren't sure there was a space to apply for funding. But, we did it. The decking on the Green Pier, South Beach project. Let's spend a few dollars, get this thing engineered, so if an opportunity arises that we can apply for a grant, we're ready to do it. And we've found a great deal of success with those projects. You'll see at the end of when Bob presents of how much value we are getting compared to how much dollars we are actually spending of the city's money. Again, we continue to look at short-term rentals. Last year, as you know, it was a heavy lift with short-term rentals. We enacted the cap, which we are at. We enacted a 24/7 call-in number. We've enacted a system where we can revoke short-term rental permits, and then that triggers a lottery system. We anticipate having our first lottery here in the fall, that we will have some not only revocations, but some short-term rentals that have sold and didn't have the CUP, so they lost their ability to short-term rent. So that opened up a couple for other people to come in. So we will have that lottery in the fall. What we have found is, and I hesitate saying that because if you live next to a bad one, it's still a bad one on any given weekend, but our numbers and our complaints through the city have gone down. I think we've seen a significant increase of on-island management folks that are taking this on, that are getting the calls. So they're getting responses because part of what we initiated was the on-island management person, if they don't respond within 30 minutes, that's strike. So they don't want that strike against them, so they've kind of lit a fire under these on-island managers is what we've seen. Records management. Again, this is something, we have a minimum staff. Gabby really, this all falls on her. A lot of this falls on her. We have so much of the records that are still here in-house that we are going through, determining what can be destroyed, what can be moved out, what can be archived. So we're continue to work with that. Again, staff is doing a great job with that, with who we have. But when we get bombarded with strings of public records requests, and we're seeing those, a significant influx, it puts this records management on hold and becomes a little more difficult.
I have a question. So if you have new records, they will automatically, not to be thrown in a box, they will already be dealt with, so we don't have to add them to this list here? You know what
Yeah, I mean, we have a records retention policy that we follow. And part of that policy is that when those records have reached their useful life under the policy, 2 years, 4 years,
Right.
6 years, whatever it might be, it's an obligation for the city to go through them, review them, and we have multiple eyes go on them before they're sent for destruction. Though that's where we're at, is to have the time, and for Gabby's office to have the time to go through that, it's quite time consuming. And then when she's getting bombarded with, 30 public records requested a month, it makes it very difficult. So,
I mean, there's a day or a year when all of those records will be out of the halls?
that's our goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are getting most of them digitized and online, so you can look at them electronically. We're still doing that, but yeah, our goal is to not have them in the halls.
Because we didn't take care of business years ago, basically.
That was part of it. Yeah. So Avalon in the works. Bob's going to go through a number of our projects. Most of them you're familiar with.
Okay, and I've got 10 minutes?
Yeah, sorry.
So you're going to see me go real fast here. Let me get away from the mic. Okay, so let's start with the Green Pier. We'll dive right in. Okay, let's talk about the Green Pier in general first. It's a good example of a phased, long-range project. 5 years ago, we had no money, and we had a pier in very bad shape. So what we did, we developed a program, multiple projects with a pay-as-you-go scheme. As we acquired funding, or you budgeted funding, we would have the right size project to fit that. We proved that with the 4 projects. We painted the Harbor Master building and got that completed and rehabilitated. And then we went through 2 pile replacement projects. We didn't have enough money for a full pile replacement. So we had some emergency piles that we had to replace where we went out there and did 5 piles. And then we came in and did a robust pile replacement project that ensured the integrity of that pier for many years to come. And now we're at the deck replacement. And also we have a project for the electrical replacement so that we bring whatever is the power that Edison brings all the way down the end of the pier, and now we bring it back to the foot of the pier. Remember that we were going to put an electric panel at where by Yoshi's is, and we're going to put brand new conduits. So for this specific projects we have this year, we have the Green Pier deck replacement. It's to replace the whole deck that's there with a similar material. We are not going to be using spikes, the bridge spikes. We're going to be using screws. If you've been to Pismo Beach lately and you looked at Pismo Beach Pier, they almost have the exact same materials, and they've had that for almost 8 years in service. It's performing beautifully. So that's what we intend it to look like when we get done. We'll also be doing the electrical portion with our own forces. So as a contractor removes a section of the pier as we move through the 6 zones to be able to get this done, our crews will come in and put the electrical conduit in before they recover it. Okay, you have a budget of about 1.2 million. Thankfully, Senator Lena Gonzalez, she found $1 million for us in the state budget, and that's through the Natural Resources Agency that actually is implementing that with us. That's going to happen in this fall. Our main goal is to have that in the low visitor season. So prior to we hit in April, we'll be successful if we can get it done before April and get that done and then be ready to go again. Let's see, South Beach. This is good example of developing a project with, with our own funds, with our own harbor funds, and seeking grant funds and construction, like City Manager has spoke about. And we did receive grant funds of $2.4 million, and that was from LA County. And so that project will replace the seawall that about 100 feet of seawall that has been damaged. It is going to put a new ADA ramp on the beach side so that as people want to go down to the beach, instead of a set of stairs, there'll be an ADA ramp to be able to get there. And most importantly, it puts a 100-foot groin wall, replaces, we used to have 4 groins there, that wall that went out there, and there's just a little piece of one left. It's going to put a 100-foot one. We studied that, put it on the right angle. It actually will retain the sand there and bring in a large amount of sand that we've studied the type, the kind, and the purity of that sand, and put that sand on the beach. So you will have, by the time we come back to next summer season, you'll have a brand new beach there. Pebbly Beach Road revetment. So the project goal here is to get as much revetment repaired that we can get done for the money. We balance that, repairing that, with also repaving the road. So to get both of those things done. And so the strategy there is we're going to have bid documents set up so that we'll receive bids for an awardable project. We don't want to put this out to bid and all of a sudden getting a $5 million price tag when we can't award it. So the way that we do that, we have a base bid, has a certain number of and it has priority number of damaged sites. because we've got 43 damaged sites, and say that we had 35 of those that we could do that were doable by a contractor, and then there was maybe a resulting small handful that the city crews could easily do. We want to balance that with the paving effort that we want to do and get whatever is that project that will give us the most bang for the buck for the contractor under prevailing wage rates to get done, and then the balance for our own crew to be able to get done that's doable, not too big a project, and so that we can be successful and get it all done. So that's using resources, and I call those hybrid projects because we use all the resources, we balance those to be able to get this done. It's a $2.7 million budget. We're bidding that project where it's out to bid this week. $2 million of community project grant funding legislation that's been hanging around for a little while. And once again, we set that project up for grant funding, but that was an example where we finished a CEQA document and then we got federal funding. And what delayed that is now we had to do NEPA. So federal funding requires NEPA. And so then you have to go back through, not redo it all, but you have to follow the steps and then get it through the funding agency, which was delegated to FHWA by Congress. Then it gets handed down to the state, to Caltrans. And then from them, they have a rule book that says you got to do this to be able to get your project in those funds so that you can use those. And so that's what we've been messing with, over there, and just trying to keep everything going and held together until we receive that. And that's what just when we announced, hey, we just got the E76, that's really your golden ticket from them. It says the money's at the bank and you actually can go get the money. If you don't have that E76, it's a fatal flaw and you can't get reimbursement.
And let me ask, does that start at Lover's Cove, or is that just more
That's
on?
from gate to gate.
Okay, gate to
Okay.
gate. Perfect, thank you.
Okay, Five Corner site improvement. Well, we're well aware of that right next to the City Hall campus here. It's nearing completion. That's mostly grant funded. Provides the necessary road infrastructure, but also sets up the infrastructure for the housing adjacent to City Hall campus. So all that stuff you saw us prior to putting the sidewalks in, it was very important to put everything underground, but it did set us up for much bigger things to happen next to our City Hall campus. So we don't have to tear those things up again. It's all in the ground and it's all sized to be able to develop those projects. And as you can see, it's a complete street project. It's really, a project that fits Avalon nice, a complete street project, because those are pedestrian friendly projects that really allow all modes of travel to be balanced, as far as a priority. You want to be able to get your commercial vehicles through. You want to be able to get your normal traffic through, but also you want to create a space for those pedestrians so that they are in a safe place. And also, it feels like there's a sense of place where they are. And then also for bicycles, as bicycles come through, do they have a safe space? We're lucky in this town because we have a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, and bicycles can mix with traffic, but they have a space to be able to be in. And then this comes from also grant funds from Metro, and the slide doesn't mention that we also got State of California Active Transportation Program funding in a large amount, millions of dollars. And that ATP funding is very, very competitive. And we also applied for it at the elbow. We were not successful. This one actually was 3 rounds of ATP funding to be able to get that. That's how you have to be persistent. You set it up and you be persistent, you will get some type of funding, if you are persistent with it. So you really have to have patience and persistence.
And
Okay.
does that all include like the electrification that you're going to put there, or is that kind of
Okay,
different?
so the
Like-
electrification for City Hall or the City Hall parking, because there's a parking lot that's going to be built. You see the new rock.
Right.
Well, that's just temporary. That's going to be a concrete parking lot for 16 spaces. That would be the new entrance, because we wanted to pull that entrance away from the intersection. Alongside the road frontage, we're planning at least half of those to be electrified as far as being able to charge. Additionally, down by between Clarissa and Clemente, we've set up for the public, there's infrastructure in to put chargers for vehicles out there too. So we've got to see how that's going to be set up to be so people can be able to pay for that. But so, and there's also in other areas we have already prepared so there'd be connectivity to the electrical system to put more in if we need it. So we haven't been shortchanged that at all. It's coming with the project. Okay, Caprio Mall revitalization. Okay, this is a lot more than just this slide shows, this project. You know, we've been working on this, one of our biggest projects. And it's been multiple phases. Phase 1, we did the wharf, you know, in the 4 point something million range. Phase 2, we're working on now, and that's the terminal building. I see that there will be probably a phase 3 and a phase 4 because we haven't addressed the floats and all the infrastructure in the water. We did that strategically so that we didn't have to get those permits for the stage 2, you know, for phase 2 right now. But also we have stages. So we have stage 0 in this phase 2. Stage 0 means pre-construction, and then the stage 1 through 4 likely during construction. And that's how we move people along so that we still can operate, get all of our business done, and still build a project. So it really is, there's significant strategic planning over years to deliver this, you know, to be a successful project. You know, and you can see the effort and how we've presented that to the community and talked and prepared everybody of what's to come. And so that once we get set up and we're building this project and we have these facilities that are set up to house where the ticketing is, the deli, and also the bathrooms, it stays there, and people know that system, why we're building it. It's not like we're changing all the time, you know, during the construction and causing chaos. We want those facilities to be, you know, something that everybody understands, and once they understand it, it's just the same thing until we get done. So 10 plus years that, you know, this has been at least worked on. The biggest constraint, you know, was money to build it. I mean, that's really what has delayed it up to this point. And the reward is that patience and perseverance. Most of it's grant funded for that patience and perseverance. So what we waited for, now we don't have to spend as much money, city money. We're getting those tax dollars that we send to other places. Now they're coming back to our community. So in the current project, we have the construction of the new ferry terminal. We've got the contractor award designs underway. And that design effort is for stage 1 is 1.8 million. And then the total budget is approximately 20 million. It includes grant funds of 17 billion and counting as we get a discretionary ferry funding along the way. And you see that we're ready to soon start the decks that those facilities, those temporary facilities will be. You'll see the temporary facilities go in, and you'll start seeing as we present some of the final designs to you through community workshop, you'll start seeing, you know, how that's going to roll out, and some of maybe that early construction, which would be the demo of the terminal and some of the utility work, okay? Earlier than even the building being delivered, you'd start seeing that. And that's why we need to be able to get those other temporary facilities in as you see it. It takes a long time to get all that stuff set up, get everybody moved in, and then you're prepped, and now you can say to the design team, there you go. You don't have to worry about them, you just worry about building the site, you know?
I'm curious, are we going to use our crews to make the platforms or whatever to put the buildings on, or is that also part
No,
of
that's part of that contract with Jordal that he did the electrical undergrounding, and then now he's moving into that next phase. And there's also a sewer connection that will go in front of gate 5. And so that's going to be early in the morning. We make a sewer connection because the sewer is right adjacent to that, and we bring it up to that planter, and then that would be able to serve any sewer needs, you know, mainly the bathrooms. These are not, even though that they're boxed bathrooms. They are regular toilets with fresh water. These are going to actually be fresh water, and they're plumbed. There's fresh water at the sink. There's fans. There's lights. So it's not like a Sandy hut. But they are individual bathrooms.
Okay, so you're not going to use city crews for that project at all?
Probably just to set the bathrooms. Okay. Yeah, that could be the hybrid portion of it, but the deck portion is under Jordel's contract.
We will remove the landscaping that's
Yes.
in those planners. City crews will do that.
Okay.
Okay. Pebbly Beach, Crescent, Elbow. Okay, and so this is morphing. You've seen us do the demo. I think what I've heard from most of the community that it was a successful demo, and we learned a lot out there. We've adjusted some of the geometrics on there. We've proven those. We've proven those through observation and also through geometric line work of what needs to be built, the final improvements. For the most part, on the one side where the businesses are, it's replacement or additional move of that face of curb out, make a wider sidewalk, and we think we can get another foot there. And more to come on that. We can talk specifically about the project in more detail. But and then on the other, it's just the geometrics to make sure, like again, it's a complete street project. To all the vehicles can fit through, and make sure that it operates in a system with vehicles, pedestrians, whatever those vehicles are.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have a comment. 'Cause
Yes.
removal of the palapa shaded area, that area is really the only shade around, and that's very well used, so could we maybe think of where we might be able to put some other kind of shade?
And Dave Hart is the second. That's why I'm saying this is morphing. So
Okay.
what I'm talking about is more the geometrics of the road. What I'm trying to do is get whatever were those temporary facilities from the demo done and finalized with concrete, with pavers, and get those prepped because we'll have a seal coat project on our road. We want to make sure that we get our rehabilitation of our road done and then get a new seal coat. So you can imagine new curb and gutter at the right location, geometrics work, pavers are ADA compliant in their surfaces, and now we fix the road and the drainage is working, and then we have a new black surface with new markings on the road. And then there's that piece, what I'm calling the geometrics. Then everything after that is really could be as pay as you go or get it set up for grant funds, and Dave Hart will talk about that. But that's the value added into. Do you put, you can increase the aesthetics of the railing could be new. All those areas that now we've made, what can you do to repurpose those for highest and best use and really to get the visitor experience, that sense of place done. And that's really the Complete Streets project, is to get that. And that's more design work to be done on that. I think geometrics, I can approve to you that they need to be done for a reason, and we've got that backup information.
I've got a question. Do you know
Yes.
that serpentine wall is part of Catalina history?
Yes, it very much
Why
is.
would you remove it?
Well, we're proposing to relocate it is what we're proposing. And that wall or any of that frontage could be a varied assemblage of railing, removable railing, gates, wall, and it's for the uses that need to be in there. So there's, like at the end of Clarissa, we absolutely need an opening that goes back into the beach for the maintenance of our beach. And then same thing that goes maybe on the other side of that down to where the other old boat ramp, or that's a good access point to have there too. So the wall of what we saw, not to get into too much detail, what we saw there is the geometrics don't work for our largest vehicles, and they're
They've been taking 30-foot vehicles, trailers through there for years. For years.
Yes, and I think that's another meeting that we really need to have on the project.
Yeah,
and we can show you, because I don't have the exhibits with me right now, and I can show you at least, and then you can make a decision on whether it works or not. But what I'm trying to do is give you the engineering, give you what is necessary for it to operate as a system. When it gets done, it'll work for every mode at that point, not just halfway. It should.
Working and taking down history are two different things. Otis Shepherd and his wife, they did a lot in this town. Been there forever.
Yeah, I
And
say
Donna,
this.
I'd have to disagree, because that was all redone when they did the redevelopment of Friend Street. That section is all new. There is a tail to the Serpentine Wall, and it's across from where this one is, where they want to remove it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just,
Thing is that, in 2010, somebody ran into the wall,
Well, they've been running into
And-
the wall forever.
and then we had a crosswalk, and then we had to rebuild it, so, yeah,
Well, I'm,
okay, I think we can have a robust conversation, not trying to sidetrack that one. I'm just saying, I got 10 minutes. But,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, Councilman Lopez, I'd be very happy even to go out in the field, okay? And show you at least what I'm seeing, okay? See, is there, you can see that we had about $350,000 budget, and we've added another $1 million because there's potential of $1 million in grant funds that Dave Hart will talk about. Okay, maintenance yard improvements. We've been working on them, getting the maintenance yard, and you understand, I mean, that building is old. There has been some significant work done because of the DTSC site there, and then there was a capping of materials there at one end, and we put in a retaining wall down at the bottom end. And then recently, with what we had with budgeted funds the previous year, we put in a brand new gate, and we put in new retaining walls at the very front. And so we cleaned up what had been a mess for years there. And now we want to be able to put the retaining wall down the side next to where the creek is there, and define that line and make it so that we're ready to build, a brand new building, replace the building that we have, tear down the existing harbor maintenance building, which is really dysfunctional. And I'm not talking about the one that is steel. I'm talking about the one that's wood, and it's, decades and decades old. And then the maintenance building that is Public Works and everybody else, that we tear that one down and put a new steel building up. Okay. And then what we'll do is actually move the garage functions into that site too, because right now we're leasing the garage facility from the Island Company, and everything will be brought into that site will become more efficient, and we're regaining what is lost real estate right now that has not been. It's just mounds of cactus and whatever. We're going to get that where it is a nice, clean municipal site. So this year is really to get those retaining walls in and to finish the final site design so that we can put a good number for the future there to build that. Okay, ADA ramps. Okay, we've been pay-as-you-go on this, and we have done 2 projects previously. We put a set of plans together. There was one of those, again, that we put enough sites together for 5 years of projects, and we've been through 2 rounds of that. This year, we expended all, and we usually use just CDBG block grant money. One of the reasons we do that, it's a real good match because they don't give us a lot, but what they do is it's exempt from environmental review if you do ADA ramps and just doing ADA ramps. So it streamlines that money where, because you don't get much, you don't want to put that much effort into the design and engineering of it, or you're not going to have anything left to actually do the construction. So that was a good fit for it. And, but it comes around in about the 35,000 or so per year. We get it, and we have to build up maybe about 100 to 150,000 to really put together a project that's worthwhile to go out there. So that's why we put those 2 projects together this year. Because of the 5 Corner project is robust, putting in all these ramps, we didn't put a project out, and we're actually got 1 more year where we're waiting to keep on collecting CDBG funds. So there is, I think the next main priorities are on Beacon, finish everything on Beacon Avenue there, because we did the ones at Vaughn's, and now we got to work our way back toward Clemente.
So, and when you're talking Beacon, are you talking from Clarissa?
Clarissa to Catalina. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
yeah, that direction, those ones they're
Excellent.
missing there. Up at the other end of Beacon and Metropole with the Cameron Hotel, that's part of the conditions of their development is they would do the intersection up there. So they're actually, those will get done soon. Okay, so you can see why, we're not actively have the ADA project. Okay. And then the storm drain improvements. This was just it. We have all the material. We have the initial excavation started. We have a plan for this. It's just waiting for Jordahl's crew to get off some of these other projects he's working on, but get it completed before the winter. It's going to require that the Hiawatha be closed for a couple of weeks while we do it. So we'd have a road closure and fence around the excavation because it's about a 10-foot deep excavation across the road that we've got to get it. So it's not a simple project, but we'll get that one done. Okay. Last slide. Capital improvement program budget. So 9 major projects highlighted. Total cost almost 34 million. Total grant funds 28 million. Wow, that is a great story. Amount paid by other city funds just about 6 million. Okay, and I guess takeaway that I have, very important takeaway. So we have a large array of game-changing and revitalizing projects. Okay, and this is just a snapshot of them. We even have more. Okay, to get here, we developed a CIP program. It gets updated annually, and you have input right at every budget. That's all part fed back in there, and that's when you approve the CIP. And so really engage in that. You have projects, the community have projects here, and that's the time really to bring them on. And it should be in that CIP and in that budget for us to be working on it. We find that project development, if we fund project development components with local funds to seed the competitive grant proposals, we're going to be more successful in that. And so we fund those with upfront funds. And that funding in many of those is designated for capital projects, such as, the cruise ship and cross-channel wharfage that we have. We designate that as a fund to go into some of those capital projects. And so now the community can see the return on investment with a large portion of that funding coming from the visitors actually using those cross-channel carriers and those cruise ships. And so it's really helping defray those costs from our own residents here to those visitors. And we have a very aggressive grant program. So those things, we're seeing rewards to get us to the point we are here. Any questions?
What about the other 6 CIP projects you've got? You had 15 on the last agenda.
Yes, and there's even more than that. And we selected this because city manager gave it 10 minutes, and I wanted to kind of hit the high points and get the community up to speed. And we can even talk about more detail on, because I could talk on some of these for an hour at a time. And I would just say, put them, this agendize, specific projects that you want to talk
They in
about.
the budget?
Whatever, yes, they are in the budget. Whatever you, and yeah, we can review it.
They're in the budget, but for example, the Green Pier decking a year ago was in the budget. We weren't sure, we were putting money in, we didn't have the full value. And that project gets escalated because we get $1 million on the grant from Senator Gonzalez, and all of a sudden it was on a back burner to now it's happening in a month. So we have those lined up, and Bob's done a great job of making sure we have some more in the queue in case funding is available. We're ready with a project.
Yeah, and another good, just to add to that, our electrical project was a higher priority than our decking project because the decking project was $1 million. So we had it out there shopping for the funds, but we realized if we didn't get the electrical project, there wasn't going to be a pier left because we didn't want the wood pier to burn down. So that was how the priorities were set, and then we ended up doing both. And it is actually great because that even helps us with the electrical project.
So, for example, what project that you might not have listed is the repaving of all the streets, for example.
Yeah, and we have the repaving in in the budget.
You'll hear about that later.
Yeah, and so Jackie will
Oh, That's somebody
speak.
else's
Yeah.
department, okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to steal the thunder from Jackie or that, yeah.
Perfect.
But yeah.
Okay.
I did want to ask when we are working on South Beach, or it could also be Middle Beach, or both. I would love both. But I would like for us to look into like the wooden walkway pathways for wheelchairs on the beach. If we could please, yeah.
Okay. And like I said, just one of the things that South Beach you'll see is there will be, like you've been to other mainland beaches, there's an ADA ramp. There's a concrete ADA ramp going to be to replace that set of stairs. So you'll be able to go down.
I guess I'm just concerned how they're going to get through the sand.
Yeah, and so there's some temporary facilities or, permanent facilities that we can look at, But yeah, so that there is a program. There also is sand-friendly wheelchairs that some beaches have used so that they can find their way there easier. And I guess the other thing, there were six projects going at the waterfront, and Kevin can speak even on this, but the Club Dock, the Green Pier, South Beach, the Mole, the Elbow, and then also the Casino Way Showers roof. All of those are happening here in this fall. So, like, wow. Okay, thank you.
Scott needs it next.
Is there any questions coming in to us, Gabby, from anywhere?
That would be Jamie.
Oh, okay. He'll let us know if something's coming. Okay.
All right, city attorney goals. Just to for our new council person, just to go over what the city attorney does. The city attorney is responsible for preparation and attendance of the city council and planning commission meetings. I handle the city council. Scott Chaps does the planning commission. City attorney, we cover all employment matters, including labor negotiations that you have with your unions and management staff. We review, draft all your contracts, make certain that you're in compliance with all the regulatory requirements, both state and federal, and we handle certain litigation. Most of your litigation, the kind of slip and fall or accidents, is handled by CIRA, which is your insurance or your pooling agency. So those litigations you pay a premium for. You buy insurance, and then they are covered by that entity. The only other legal matters are your vehicle hearings, because we advise staff on what the law is. There has to be a separate attorney for the legal hearings, because we can't have one law firm advising and then enforcing it. And so Ken DePere is your vehicle hearing officer. So what are our goals? One is to maintain prompt responses to the council and staff. If you've tried to contact me, I usually get back to everyone within an hour or 2 hours. It's just the way I do. When staff, we get back to staff within the same time, but always at the end of the day, because response delayed is you're kind of left in the lurch. I want to get back to you as quickly as possible, also to make certain that any concerns is being promptly addressed. Also, we advise the city and you on what the risk of anything that you would do, and we also try and mitigate adverse consequences. What does that mean? For instance, in the past, when we had the whole issue with the toxic matters, we were able to find insurance that covered the cost of that, and we saved millions of dollars in a city funds. We also try and keep you out of litigation. Litigation is very, very expensive, and in the two matters where we've actually gone to trial, and we both won those cases, but it was very expensive. It was Mr. Milan and Mr. Stickler. We went to trial on those. We ultimately prevailed, but you spent a lot of money. So we're trying to keep out of litigation. I look at this as litigation as, you'd rather put the money in public works than in your attorneys. So we try and keep those costs down. And in fact, your legal fees, the amount of lawsuits is significantly less than they are now than when we took over. And we also have a lot of, we keep you out of trouble in Brown Act, the Fair Political Practices Commission. And recently we've had a great increase in public records requests. It is very easy to generate a public records request, and it takes Gabby hours to respond to them, and so our office works with her to try and provide guidance in getting these public records requests done. So what are we going to be doing this next year specifically? One, we're going to be updating the vehicle codes. That is something that we've talked about before. Dave went over that a little bit. One of the things we're also going to be looking at is, with the blue stickers, adding grandchildren as to people who can qualify for blue stickers. Right now it's only children. We're going to expand that to grandchildren. The council has also asked us to look at landlord-tenant regulations and specifically consideration of rent control for the city. So we have worked on a draft ordinance. Obviously, that is a policy issue that we'll bring up before the council. And the last legislative program is your local coastal program. It's been since 1981 was the last time that you updated your local coastal program. You did a minor tweak in 2013, but you have not done a comprehensive review of your local coastal program in over 20 years. And you're supposed, the Coastal Commission would like to see it every 8 years. And so that would be involved in looking at what the procedures for what a applicant has to do when they're applying for a permit in the local coastal area. One of the other things, and we've talked to the Coastal Commission about this, is every time you amend your zoning code, that's a local coastal program amendment. And so that would be many a year. What we've talked to the Coastal Commission about is we'll do this local coastal program and we'll just reintroduce the zoning code as it currently is right now in one big amendment. So that's one thing. In my office, we hired Stephanie Cook, who worked for the Coastal Commission for many years, and so she's going to be tackling this problem. That's what I have. Obviously, any other goals that you have, we'll discuss in the afternoon, or you can always, you know where I am.
You know, I just want to add, I don't think I've ever called you over town at all. And I find that oftentimes I don't need to because the city manager has so much knowledge. And if I did want to call you, I would go through the city manager first to make sure we're not wasting city finances on something that the staff or the city manager could answer. So,
And Scott's always responsive, so it's been great.
well, I know he is, but
Just to add my 2 cents, the only time I contact him is to answer a question of conflict.
Yeah.
You know, can I, what?
Exactly.
It's more of that.
yeah.
Right, and one thing I would just reiterate is on the conflicts issues is that when you get the council package, look at the council package. If you think you have a conflict, you are very good at contacting me the day you get the packet to ask if you've got a conflict, if you have to recuse yourself. And so I appreciate that versus waiting the minute and having to make a spot call.
Okay, David Hart. You just going to give this guy 10 minutes too?
I was less than that. So
I know.
give
Oh,
him
you,
time.
not to him. Give it to finance.
Matt promises he's going to be left.
Community services.
The over on that.
I don't have any clothing changes or jazz hands today for you. So currently we do, these are the existing programs that we do, and every year we try to improve them one way or another or increase them. making fun from our summer day camps to our events, prime timers, recreation leagues and recreation programs, homeless program, food bank events, our parks. And one other I didn't put up there, we're actually adding this year is it's an art and culture kind of a department where we're going to try to infuse more art and culture into the community. But that's more of a partnership with other organizations. One of the new programs we're excited about this year is where I'm going to start working on. Is where KISL was at. Is a new tech center. It's a public-private partnership, as in we'll be running the program, but it's privately funded through different organizations who have really taken a belief into this program. It's our tech center where we'll be teaching media arts, 3D printing, coding, AI, and hopefully with the younger kids as well, teaching them, just the basic skills of computing and trying to bring our kids up to this generation to give them the skills needed to move into the future. Outside of that, we're looking at reviving our parks right now, our dog parks, by looking at new surfacing for it, play equipment up at Joe Machado Field, returfing the fitness area, as well as there's an area right below the lower bleachers that we just can't get plants to grow at, but we see an opportunity to make it more of like a little park space where people can sit and enjoy games and have kind of like a day at the park. At Avalon Kids Park, which is right across the area there, we're returfing the grass area there. As you can tell, there's a couple of trees that we had to take out that were dying, and now we have those big patches in there, and we're looking to returf it, as well as the fact that kids play a lot over there, so getting the right padding down, everything to make it more a safe play area, and also creating more passive spaces like we did with the little library there. And if you could tell, our Adirondack chairs that we put out there get used all the time. People love it. And so I think with the dog park as part of that project too, it's going to really kind of round out that area. So we're excited about that. And over at City Park, we're going to be putting new play structures in there. So we're going through right now what we're going to do is new play structure, because that one's old and starting to fall apart and needs to be replaced, as well as adding to our passive areas. We've already purchased the new tables and chairs and stuff for those areas as well. But the thing that we're really excited about.
Let me just go back. And you have money for all of those projects?
All those have been budgeted.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really quick as well, sorry, Dave. I know you guys are already looking into it, but about keeping the lights on later for the basketball courts as well as JMF.
Yeah, yes. The basketball courts, what happens down there is people go down there and they unplug it, and they use it, and they use those things for their
Charge your
own
electronics.
right, just like down for their phones and stuff like that. Just like if you notice downtown, it's a little dark. It'll be dark downtown right around the stage. That's because people are unplugging the lights down there to plug their phones in. And so you just got to remember to go back in, and we have to go back in and plug those back in. So that's something that we might have to look at down the road, is how do we keep that from happening, allowing people to access those points. So. And then the thing we're excited about is being able to create new park spaces with the South Beach Elbow project, as well as along Pebbly Beach Road. So we just got this RPOSD grant, and it's a grant that LA County Parks and Rec has to give us. What had happened is the interpretive center was built with RPOSD grant 30 years ago. Somehow it got in on a 30-year lease. Most of the time when you do have an RPOSD grant, it has to be in perpetuity. So when the grant came up, RPOSD contacted LA County and said, hey, where's our building? And they said, well, the 30-year lease was up, and they said, you owe Avalon $1 million, because that's how much that was. And so they owe us $1 million. So they said because it is an RPOSD grant, that it must be for expanded park space, new park space, or acquisition. And we have to own the land in perpetuity. since there's really no place to purchase land to create a new park, we decided a space that we do have is the elbow. It'll be a spot that expands recreational area. It will add more shade and cooling, more seating, more storage for recreational water, recreational programs, which we've never been able to access. But now with the new South Beach project, we'll actually be able to access the water. And now we just need a space to kind of put all our water program activities into. And that's what this space will do. And I'll show you on the next screen. Plus, this is going to help with better visual wayfinding and foot traffic flow. So currently, this is what it looks like. You can see right at the elbow how everything just kind of stops and gets congested. And where the crosswalk is, there's a big planter, right? So as you walk up, you got to make that sharp turn right there. Where the that seating area is and that little palapa is. And right behind the palapa, you can see there's all that wonderful space that never gets used, right? It's a big, big space. And then also you'll see that it gets divided by that the ATM, but that big metal box. We wanted to remove all that, but we can't remove that big metal box because that's the electricity for everything downtown, right? So what we decided to do is we will open up that space through there to be able to get to, so you can have a flow that's going to go through, and I'll show you that in the next one, but we got to keep that box. But I'm going to show you what we're going to do to kind of heighten it a little bit, all right? And then you'll see this also includes Palapa Beach. Since we are getting new beach, up front and a lot more beach. This is a beach that's hardly ever used because, what can you do on there? You'll get a few people who are waiting for the boat or whatever, get a chance to lay out a little bit there. But we saw an opportunity there because it is connected to the ramp, which will allow us to get the recreational access, that we are going to make that area a storage area. And I'll show you how. So here's the proposed plan. As you can see, as you're walking in, there's access to both crosswalks, larger access, because we'll take that planter out, right? And then we'll have those shaded areas. That's what those lines are right there. That's what those will be shaded areas with seating inside there, as well as some passive recreational activities. There's still a spot in there where you still can have a street vendor there too, kind of, feeding those people, or if it's coffee, or if it's, whatever it might be, that can help with that area as well. And then across the way where you see Palapa Beach, we'll close off those entrances so the public can't just jump and just take our paddle boards, our kayaks, our outriggers, and then we'll open it up on the other side. So these are just concepts right now. Right here is putting these type of shade structures up that kind of define that space as an open area. Is shades that, we can either have, like those wooden ones that go across, or we can get those laser cuts that actually add a little bit of artwork to the section. We'll have like little chessboards and concrete foosball tables, because they can't be stolen or taken when they're concrete like that. They'll be in there as well. We'll be adding some box seating. Those are just examples of box seating, because you can also stack those, so you can make them multiple levels for people to sit. Like I said, these are just concepts. We'll have something more full later, because we just got this grant maybe 2 weeks ago. And then, like I said, we'll close off that area, but we'd still include seating on the outside of Palapa Beach. And there, right there, it's a AI rendering right there. And it won't be that big, but we were thinking some sort of art mural wall along there to hide that big metal box. And so we'll actually be able to infuse some art into the community, and we believe that something where it's a art piece that talks about the history of the island, and that's what be part of the art and culture committee would decide on what that would look like. And then on the inside, you can see what we'll do is right there. I don't have it down there, but we'll put decking where the sand is. We'll put decking there, and that's where we can put our paddle boards and our kayaks and our outriggers, and we can program out recreational opportunities to our greatest resource for recreation here on the island. and then it'd have a connection going right into the ramp area. So that's the concept right now. It's $1 million we have. We've been able to price this out to be about $1 million to be able to do this.
And we can't use, or can we use any of the tile work that's on the mole that's going to be removed and find a place to put our time capsule and that kind of thing? Or is that any of that reusable?
Yeah, we can figure something out.
Maybe,
for
I hate
that.
to see that just
Yeah.
vanish.
Yeah.
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 We're going to find a spot for it somewhere.
Yeah,
That's
we'll find-
a good idea, man.
Yeah, we don't want to lose that, right? That's still
And,
our art, and that's our.
And
you
the
know,
lady
culture.
that made it is still alive and
Yeah.
available
Oh, yeah.
if we need more tile.
Okay. Cool. And then the other one that we're excited about is the SPP grant start the state park project grant. This is a grant. Again, this is a no match grant, which means whatever we ask for and they give us, we don't have to give them a match. They do the full funding for it. Currently, right now, they're releasing $188 million. We can ask up to, I believe, $8 million for this. And so one of the projects that we're looking at, because again, it's to create a new park, acquisition, development, expand an existing park, or renovate an existing park. So I want to take advantage of a grant like this. And so a place that I look at is I figure since we're doing a revitalization basically of the elbow, we're doing a revitalization of Cabrillo Mall, we should revitalize all of Kanabe Veterans Park. And there we own it. It would be an expansion and renovation, create a more cohesive appeal and continuation of that mall project. And what we're looking to do here is currently right now, it's a park that's used as a resting area for people who are getting on the boat. There's a swing set just off to the side of the park. Then there's a walkway space that could be used, but is really not used because it's not functional. And then you have Veterans Park, and then you have a playground right next to Veterans Park. So what I want to do is switch it all around. I want to create that passive recreational area that while people are waiting for the boat, they can sit there, they can play games, they can read books, but they're hanging out. Would put more shade in that area as well. We would have Veterans Park next to that, and Veterans Park with a little bit more reverence to it. Right now, it's everywhere. The shape, even to how the bricks are placed, just doesn't have order to it. And that's the number one thing, again, that the military guys tell me all the time is doesn't feel like it's military. There's no order to what our Veterans Park looks like. And so, we've been wanting to revitalize Veterans Park, but we figured if we can do this and we can move that down, we can make it a more reverent place for people to go see. And as you can see, the thing I would love to do, and I've been told I can do by the shade people, is instead of just having the flags wave, we can actually make the shade structures the flags. And so then all that would be shining down onto the area. And then we would revitalize and keep that middle section, but kind of clean it up a little bit. And then where that section where that was by Veterans Park, we would open it up more. That's where we would put the park for the families to barbecue. And then where Veterans Park is, put the swing set next to the playground. Now the families can be in one spot and watch their kids play. Where before they're all the way down there and their kids are taking off running this way, running that way. There's people walking back and forth. And so that's been our largest complaint about that spot. And so now we would actually make it a real community space for our families going all the way down. And so we feel like I said, it then go public space, memorial space, family space. And we believe we have a great chance when speaking to the people who give these grants out. They love this project. We go out next month for the application of it, and next month we'll also be starting the public outreach for it. So these are the concepts, but the public might also have other ideas. But we still want to figure out how to revitalize that space. All right. Any questions? All right. Okay. Thank you.
Matt, you can be everybody's hero if you save them their time.
Yay.
Say putting finance after the parks. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's fair.
It isn't. It isn't.
So real quick, some of these goals I'm looking to complete this year. Some of them are going to be kind of an ongoing project within the department that we're hoping to start this year, but it's not a kind of one and done year, but it's kind of creating something that we can continue on as a department beyond just the next fiscal year. So enhanced cash management. So every time we're dealing with city funds, there's kind of three priorities. One is to ensure fund safety. And so that's why we invest in insured CDs, treasuries, things of that nature. Second is to maintain the liquidity to operate. And then the third is to maximize returns. As you can see with all of these grant funds and CIP funds, modeling our cash flows is going to be important for finance. So I want to have, only enough money in the operating accounts to operate. So as much as I can have earning returns, whether in life or somewhere else. In order to do that, I need to have an understanding of kind of when all these big ticket items are going to be coming out of the bank account so I can model that spending. One of the tools I'm looking to potentially use to help with that is what's called an insured cash sweep. And so this would be through US Bank. And so that's where if I unsure how much money I'm going to need, say in the next warrant run, I can have that money at US Bank. They will move it into an insured investment account. So it might not earn as much as if it was in a CD or in life, but better than it just sitting in our bank account for that payment. So that's going to be one of the challenges, is kind of managing that balance of, making sure we have the money in our checking account in order to operate, but still maximizing kind of that return on investment, which we can't do now if that money's kind of just sitting in the bank account. So that's kind of the first bullet there. Second one is probably the biggest complaint we get at the window is when we don't have the ability to accept credit cards. So our city's ERP system doesn't have all the functionality that other ERP systems have. And so what we've kind of done over the last few years as a city is kind of piecemealed our ability to accept credit cards. So now we do accept it for certain payments like ad tax, harbor use fees, TOT. The rec department has the ability for their rec programs to accept credit card fees. And we've expanded the ability to accept credit cards this year through vehicle season. But if you did pay with vehicle season, it was a manual entrance process. So one of the things I'm looking to do is get credit card readers using iWork to be able to expand credit card acceptance to include building permits, vehicles, and then ultimately business licenses. And if I can get there's 99% of city payment interactions with some ability to accept credit cards. Again, this is going to tie into my last bullet point. The one downside of this approach is I am kind of piecemealing it through different systems that don't integrate with our accounting system. And so there's a manual process that I and my team have to do to match kind of the payments from all these different systems and input them into our accounting system. But at least as hopefully a temporary stopgap, we are going to look to expand credit card access kind of through iWork with a card reader system. And so that's one of the projects I'll be working on. Similarly, our accounting system does have the ability to process payments via ACH. I know with the warrant run, many of you are familiar, mostly we are issuing checks. There's some advantages, but a lot of disadvantages to that process. So we are working with US Bank and our accounting software to set up the ability to make payments via ACH. So that'll kind of cut down on some of the manual processes finance has to do, as well as speed up the payment time to our vendors. So that's a project we'll be working on and rolling out.
That's an exciting one.
We have the ability, it's just not current. Our system isn't currently set up to allow it, but that is something I'll be working on in the current year. And then fourth, and this is one of kind of the first four here are ones I really want to see implemented this fiscal year, is improve the budgeting process by clearly linking department budget requests to stated goals. So what I mean by that is that in the past year, we did implement a new kind of budget presentation format. But if I'm going to be critical of it, I think one area where it's lacking is in kind of the narrative piece to kind of show to the public. It's still a lot of numbers, it's still a lot of charts, and so it doesn't make for the most interesting read. And so what I'm hoping to do in the next year's budget is show the stated goals, whether they're council stated goals, department stated goals, and show how the budget is used to implement those goals. So if one of the goals is to, you know, improve the cleanliness of city streets, I can say, look, we budgeted 25,000 into street sweeping compared to 20,000 last year. And so to try to show how the budget is more than just a book with numbers, but to show how it is actually driving the stated goals of council and of the department heads. So that's, again, just a minor improvement, but I think it'll make the budget document a better document for the reader.
So I'm curious, when staff is doing work, and let's say they're cleaning the streets, or they're doing landscaping, or they're doing something else, do they mark down their time, like how many hours at this or how many hours at that, or no?
We currently don't track, at least through payroll, to that
Right.
level of specificity. Whether a department head has some other way of tracking it, it's possible. I know there's work order systems within public works, so there is some level of tracking, but through payroll, we don't track to the project level. So those four are kind of the short-term goals. These I'm looking to start this year, and hopefully some of them finish this year, but some may linger into the next year. We haven't had a formal audit of our tax and fee ratepayers since 2020. And so I'm looking to kind of reestablish that program where on a fixed interval, we select certain businesses to audit to make sure that they're reporting their full and fair amount. I like to think all our businesses are reporting honestly, but I think one way to ensure that is to have the regularly scheduled potential of being selected for an audit. And one of the things I'm hoping to do with this next round, when we would go out to an RFP to have someone at least start the process, but what I'm hoping to gain from it is kind of a set of procedures that then we can implement as a department. So if we have a one-off business that we suspect we might want some additional information, my team has a template that they can go to and say, here's the letter we're going to send out, here are the documents we're going to request, here's the deadline to submit them by. Because I think one of the challenges we have when we have kind of more one-off bad actors is having a kind of defined process within the department to follow start to finish, so that way we're complying with any legal requirements we may have, but also doing it in a fair way where we're not asking anything different of them than any of the other audits would ask for.
Call that a long-term goal, so how long, does that mean long-term that it keeps on going, or it's going to take a long time to get it going?
I don't think it's going to take a long time to get it going, but it's not a kind of one and done. It's something I'm looking to implement and then keep going.
Great, I'd love to hear this.
And then the third bullet down is developing a documented OPEB funding policy. So one of the things the city's really done well is we really haven't incurred a lot of debt, but where we do have outstanding liabilities relates to our pension liability and our other post-employment benefit, OPEB. So that's the retiree health insurance that's a negotiated benefit. We've made some modifications where now new employees don't receive the same level of benefit as some of the existing employees receive, but there still is a large liability there on the city's books related to that. Currently, we've been paying that on a what's called a pay-as-you-go type basis. But where I would like to get as a city is to where we're fully funding the full liability amount each year within the budget. And I think how we get there is by implementing a policy to state that, and then we can tie that within the budget building process. If we have a stated policy saying we're going to fully fund our OPEB cost, this is where that amount is determined, then we can include that in the budget. And so if I try to present a budget to you without the full actuarially determined contribution amount for OPEB, we can go back and say, no, we need to make sure we're setting monies aside. So that's not monies we would be paying out that year necessarily, but we do have a trust account that we would be putting those monies into that would be earning interest, so that down the road, right now on a pay-as-you-go basis, we pay out about $250,000 a year as a city in retiree health benefits. Over time, we expect that number to grow, and so the goal is that we have then been setting monies aside. So as that number grows, we can then draw down from that trust account to cover those added costs. So we're not passing that burden on to the 10 years from now ratepayers to pay for retiree benefits that were earned today, if that makes sense. So I think the start of getting there is by establishing a policy, which I'm looking to include in next year's budget document, as well as within that budget, the full liability contribution for that year to be included to kind of start better funding our trust account for that. And then the last one, and this is kind of a big undertaking, and this is, if we were to go down this effort, would be a multi-year effort. So the city's been using our ERP enterprise resource platform. That's our accounting software, as well as our business licensing software, our cash receipt software, since 2010. It's functional, but there are limitations to its ability. Some of them we talked about, just in it's not set up to do certain things, and others it doesn't have the ability to do certain things. And so I'd like to look into eventually replacing our ERP system. And the reason I couch this one as changing an ERP system isn't a cheap or quick process. It would be a multi-year effort. And just from an expectations standpoint, probably the implementation year would be $400,000 or $500,000 to do that. Just looking at what other cities' costs are for that, I think there's a lot of great benefits. I think it would streamline a lot of finances processes. We'd get better reporting, quicker reporting, but that's not an insignificant dollar amount. That's a new park or a new fire truck. So I realize, and our current system is functional. It's just, it's not to the level that I think, other systems out there are. And so what I'd be looking in the next year to do is kind of start the exploration process, if you will, sending out an RFP to see, what the cost would be, what the timeline would be to implement. And then we can look at, is this something that we really want to pursue now or down the road in the future? It's something my department would like to see. It's something I'd like to see. But just recognizing the dollar amount of the ask and the level of work that would be needed to implement a new ERP system, it's not something I'd be looking to do, say, in the next 6 to 12 months, but it is something in the next, say, 2 to 3 years that I definitely would want to be looking into at least. I didn't go over too much, did I, Scott?
You went over 3 minutes and 7 seconds.
We had some Q&A.
Well,
It
I
was
asked,
all great stuff.
That's
Makes me
30%.
excited.
I asked a question.
That's all I have, unless there's other
Okay.
questions.
Excellent. Cool.
I'll be under 5 minutes. Speed it up.
Start it.
Yeah, okay. You threw down the gauntlet, buddy.
Mike Valagria, Fire Chief, Fire Department. Couple I didn't have on there that will continue with the grants. We've done pretty good with the grants lately. We'll continue working on getting grants. Working also with Edison and PERC, learning a lot more about our water systems and what improvements we can make, possibly like water trucks and stuff for outages, so that we have water. When you have no toilets, we have no fire protection, and that's scary. Also working on getting more freshwater hydrants on the flats.
That would be like grant money, huh? For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before, increased staffing to get one more firefighter per shift. So that way our fire engine is available at all times. We do it now when we have wind events, to make sure that engine's available so we are able to get to any fire somewhere and hopefully knock it down before it gets bigger. Continue to modernize our firefighting equipment. The Lucas device, looking into a drone to help with search and rescue calls that people lost on the trails. Easy to get a drone up. Smoke, homeless encampments on the hills, all those things with the drone that could help us out, save a lot of time. Work on establishing a fire prevention inspector, someone under me. There's a lot of things building in town. The building guys are doing great, but just another element of it from the fire department. Working with the guys to get a few of them off to some arson school. We don't have a lot of fires. It's hard, but the National Fire Academy, free class, they go out for a week, take multiple classes, they light fires, they learn things. So we have more in-house personnel that knows fire investigation.
The question, how long did it take, because the fire up there that had to be investigated, how long did it take for somebody to come and actually do that project?
A few days, almost just under a week.
So it'd be quicker if we had our
Correct.
internal, yeah.
Strengthen the new buzzwords in the fire service, community risk reduction. This here is where we help with insurance. We become a FireWise community. There's a lot of steps, but something that we're looking into to help strengthen community risk reduction, and then continue to build more resilient island emergency response system. We're pretty good with LA County. We're working on plans, not just a fire plan, but earthquake, all different scenarios, bus over the side for us.
Boy, you got all these sexy projects. I mean, somebody heard you right now, they'd probably buy your drone for you. Well, no, just put it out there, you'll get it.
Under 5?
You did well.
All right. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Ooh, Harbor Department. How many minutes does he get? He gets 10 minutes as well?
No.
Almost on schedule now.
Start the timer. We can do this pretty quickly, I think, here. Okay, so the first one of our goals is to update the Avalon Municipal Code, specifically Title 10. That's our bread and butter part of the code. What we want to do there is update some of the codes that a lot of them were written in like 1969, to make them so that we can enforce some things we want to do right now that we aren't able to do with the codes we have.
Do you have the remote that you can?
Oh, I thought somebody was doing that.
Yeah, everybody was individually doing it.
Wow, color me foolish.
So you just have to get past fire department goals.
And then you get,
The arrow, right?
Should be.
It's time.
Yeah, exactly. It still counts as your time, Mike.
I just comes off my time.
Hang on.
Oh,
the first thing is training for the harbor. Harbor
we
Patrol.
don't use a lot of computers where I'm from.
Okay.
There they are. So the other thing with the code, the municipal code, is we'd like to incorporate some of the code from Fish and Wildlife and Harbors and Navigation, which we don't currently have in our code. It would allow us to enforce some things, make it safer, more efficient out there, particularly with the MPA, with Lovers Cove and the casino. We really can't enforce, Fish and Wildlife right now, but we've been looking at ways to incorporate some of those into our code. I've talked to Newport Harbor about how they do their things there as well. So this year we'd like to try and, update our code, make it so that we can enforce some laws that we want to enforce.
Is that, because there's been some discussion with some friends of mine about the people fishing on the mole and fishing on the pier and that kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Particularly the mole.
Yeah.
Probably more than anywhere else.
Write tickets?
What's that?
You can't write tickets, aren't you 832?
So we are 832, but right now we're limited to the municipal code. So whatever's in our code is our bread and butter. And now that's changed a little bit. Back, years ago, we had a little more expanded authority on that. Harbors Navigation and Fish and Wildlife. But we've looked into ways to incorporate the Fish and Wildlife Code and Harbors Navigation into our code. So that's what we're working on. We actually started this project this spring, looking at ways to improve our code. I got put on the back burner with summer and everything else. But once we get Labor Day in the rearview mirror, we can get back to that as well. You've heard a couple things about some big infrastructure projects. Quite a few of them are going to be happening around the pool. So, for the Harbor Department, obviously, we want to be a part of, getting those completed on time and under budget. But, for us, we're going to have a big role in mitigating and minimizing the impacts. There will obviously be impacts from these projects on the city, but our job is to hope, mitigate those and keep them to a minimum. The mall's going to be a big project out there, South Beach. You heard the whole list. One that wasn't mentioned is the end float. We got a grant to replace our end float. That obviously won't have much impact in terms of what goes on in the city. That will be built over town or somewhere, probably over town, and then brought in for the season next year. So we'll be working hard to make sure that those impacts are as small as possible. We're going to continue to work on professional development for harbor personnel, and that includes, in-house training. We continue to do that. Our training through Department of Boating and Waterways. There's courses that we send their guys to up there. It's all over the place in California. But anyway, we also have the CBSOA, the California Boating Safety Officers Association. We have trainings we send them up to as well. This year, we started doing, we've done the last couple of years, but Baywatch Avalon has been really helpful. They've been taking the guys out and getting them trained up on the rescue boat and their options. So like intra-agency training with local agencies as well, and maybe some agencies over town. I'd like to be able to talk to other harbor departments in California that have similar situations and see what they do and try and, come up with some best practices and incorporate them to ours. We also want to update and improve our equipment in the harbor. Obviously the first thing we think about is boats, but that also includes things like infrastructure, gangways, being able to lift our gangways like this summer with the South Swell events, being able to lift that fuel dock ramp without, having to bring a telehandler down to do that. So, trying to be able to prepare for these things that happen without, taking 2 days to do it. Getting an H-frame on there would be a really big help for us as well. The gangways on the pier, gangways at the mall, they're also going to need to be looked at in terms of replacement schedule and things like that. Along with that, we need to work on the maintenance of our current infrastructure and make sure we have a plan for maintaining it, preventative maintenance and ongoing maintenance, and then tracking the completion of that maintenance. So that all kind of ties into that one as well. And that's it. I don't think I missed anything. Any questions?
I do. So the crane.
The crane. The mole crane?
The mole crane, when the fish come in and all that.
That's the pier crane.
Pier crane, I'm sorry.
Don't confuse me.
No. So are our people trained to do it? How does I've heard that maybe some people use it, really don't know how to use it very well, and how do we monitor that? Do we have staff on board when the crane is being used? That kind of thing.
So typically the pier crane, that's either run by us. Most often it's the fish market, and they've been trained how to use that. A civilian or, somebody off the street is not supposed to be using that.
And the Tuna Club use it? Do they use it?
So they have us, typically, we actually have an electronic scale that we use for them. So no, it's supposed to be either harbor personnel or fish market personnel that have been trained on that crane. And the same goes for the mole crane. We went through a training process several years ago, and there's a list of people that went through the training that are permitted to operate that crane for the exact same reasons.
Okay. Well, another question. So you get the gas for your vehicles at the fuel dock, correct?
One more.
How do you fill up your boats? Do you go?
Fuel dock.
Okay, have you ever, these are all little things that people say in the community, so I'm
That's
just
what
gonna
I'm here for.
get them answered now. Do you ever find that they don't have enough gas and they have to turn people away because they run out of fuel?
So that has been a problem recently. And I've talked to Dion and Sons on more than one occasion about this. The problem they were having was getting loads of fuel scheduled on the barge. That's what I was told. Okay, so I'm relatively confident that we have that problem figured out. So right now they're supposed to be bringing over 3 loads a week on the barge. So hopefully that problem is going away.
Okay,
or
great.
gone away.
All right, thank you. Public Works. Ooh, we got a few things on this one, huh?
Oh, yeah, they saved the best for last. Good morning. All right, so I do this exercise every year, thinking about what are going to be our departmental annual goals. And when I do this, I think about Public Works mission. And our mission really is maintaining critical infrastructure, but what I really hone in on is risk, hazard, public health and safety. Then are improving our aging infrastructure, which we're going to go through, and then delivering reliable public services, which is the saltwater, modernizing our equipment so we can actually efficiently get to repairs. So let's continue on. So here are the major priorities for infrastructure and operations for Public Works. I'll go through each one of these in detail, starting with the wastewater treatment plant, sewer collection, saltwater system, public buildings, street and facilities, landfill expansion, and our fleet. When going through this exercise again, thinking about the challenges and possibly opportunities. So some of the challenges, again, which we see on a daily basis is our aging infrastructure, the island logistics, how to get things here, working with outside contractors, they're going to have the same issue. So working with them and a lot of hybridizing our projects. And then regulatory compliance requirements, increase in the maintenance staff or demands on our system. We've seen that, severe weather, but we also have opportunities to partner with local contractors, grant funding, up our preventative maintenance game, and then obviously long-term capital planning. And that is what currently Bob and I do quite frequently is dovetail our projects. So the wastewater treatment plant, the infrastructure, this is a public health and safety issue, first and foremost. The Headworks rehabilitation, that's a CIP project. This actually almost completed. Our lab roof replacement, I put 240 there, but that's in conjunction with our casino restroom. Our lab is actually 145,000. Digester deck repairs, again, working with Bob and Slater. We're that's a current CIP project that is dovetailing with the Headworks, all of that. Now, the redundant screw press, this is where I put everything in here that I think it would be great that we got to do. But in reality, we don't really get to do all of these things every year because scope changes. Contractors may not be available, other priorities, emergencies come up. So this is one example of the redundant screw press. We put that in there, but it needs assessment. Is it really necessary? Can it be deferred another year? So those are some of those analysis that as department heads we do. The sewer collection and saltwater distribution system. Here, again, public health and safety, those are number one priority. The sewer casino fuel dock lift station upgrades, that would be a hybrid between Public Works and contractor, even possibly using PERC. The force main assessment and rehab of that's working with Bob and CIP. The grinders at Catherine and Pebbly, that's a CIP major project of Public Works. And then the Pebbly lift station order control system, those are all in conjunction together. Installation of third pump at Catherine, especially with the impending El Nino storm that's coming, that would be something great to do. And on the saltwater system, this is more current what Public Works and we can do, not part of our CIP. Isolation valve replacements, you see that now on Descanso, where we tackled that one. We're going to do the second one. The hydrant, that's the hydrant rehabilitation as well. And then Mount Ada and City to City Park saltwater main slip lining. We actually did a main slip lining on Burma Trail, so we were thinking of doing the same thing and assessing over by Mount Ada, that section, which would be fantastic, but it'll be a longer run. If we did all of the salt water, the sewer, all the wastewater treatment for this 1 year, it would be over $1 million. So that's when
all?
yeah, it's a lot, yes.
So that doesn't sound like much to me.
Oh, great. Well, it's all in our budget. It's all part of our CIP, but again, constraints come up, other emergencies, scope changes. But if we were to be able to do all of it, it would be $1 million. And this is aggressive goals. So, every year I start at the very beginning of our fiscal year, like, yes, this is what we're going to do. And then reality somewhat sits in, in December, January. But again, we're optimistic right now. Our public buildings, this is all, again, trying to repair aging infrastructure, putting investment in those buildings, and providing a reliable service to our community. Tremont Hall electrical upgrades, that's going to be about $45,000 to $50,000, and that's improving all the lighting there, the kitchen appliances, all of that needs to be, the electrical system needs to be able to sustain what we're going to put there. The animal control and household hazardous waste improvements, we actually have a $70,000 grant for that. So that's great. It has to be done by November. So we'll use Public Works to make those improvements. The casino restroom and shower roof remediation, we've been talking about that for months. That's going to be underway come here in September, October. And then casino restroom showers and renovation, the design phase. Now, we're replacing the roof. We're doing some improvements there. Shouldn't we then maybe look at the inside? It's very outdated, so I think it'd be great to modernize and improve the infrastructure inside and then deliver better services. Actually, we would probably be able to fit more stalls in that restroom.
You're talking about Casino Dock, the ones on Casino Dock?
I'm talking about the
Casino
Casino Way restroom and showers.
The Taco Bell building.
Both of those are
Yeah.
the Taco Bell
Yeah.
building? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So this is where it's the heart and soul of the town, right? The streets and facilities. This is where we see infrastructure. It's a needed repair and restoration. This is where we're putting our investment. This is where we can provide that reliable service, not only to residents, but visitors. So the Casino Way wall repairs and restoration, again, dovetailing with CIP. This is where we're talking about, we did the benches, you all saw those, and that would be that wall. But going all the way to Front Street would be the goal. Front Street paver replacement, that would be a huge one. We just did a temporary trip and fall repair that you all saw. Annie was out there on her knees helping all the staff there with you saw how difficult it was, right?
Yeah,
It took a long time and it was very tedious and detailed. So we would be working with a local contractor to remove that paver, replace new and put in new. So that would be something that, would last a long time. One pilot program that I'm working with All-American and other contractors getting bids on is pavement type 2 slurry and crack seal, using about 2 blocks down in a really busy street. We're thinking of Sumner, where we can have this contractor come, give us the type 2 slurry, and well, first the crack seal type 2 slurry, and then we can see how it looks, and then that will help me personally put a scope of work together, go out to RFP and bid for the remainder of the town. And the goal is that we would do as much as we possibly can, and mainly start in the flats because we see that's the main corridor for transportation. But then it'll also give us an idea, this type 2 material that we didn't use last time when we did the paving. And then also, we're not going to do the removal of the asphalt. We're going to put this layer on top. And so what happens is that maybe you still will have those kind of bumps, but we'll see how that looks, right? Maybe then we say, no, we don't like that. We want to have it completely smooth. Or we say, no, that's great, bang for a buck. Let's do it. We can actually get more streets done that way.
Is that a hot product or no?
Yes, it will be a hot product. Yeah. So you'll see that coming staff report soon.
Jackie, is that going to include the alleyways as well?
I would hope so. That really, and I know maybe we don't think of it as a priority, but that's where some of our infrastructure lies. Isolation, sewer mains, things like that. So it would be important to do those as well. That's why I said as much as the flats as we can. Serpentine wall repairs and restoration. That would be improving aging infrastructure, and that's what I was talking about going from Casino Way. And that would be Public Works and a local contractor. Wrigley Fountain repairs and restoration. Again, Public Works and a contractor. The Casino Way electrical upgrade and lighting, reducing risk for trip and falls over there. There's really not a lot of lighting on Casino Way. There is a plan we have that John Gilbert put together. So it'd be updating that scope of work now that the casino benches are done, and hopefully the walls will be done as well. So that would be a hybrid. All of these, you can see the majority are hybrid projects because I feel that's where you get the most value. The landfill expansion, this $4 million project. Right now we're going through the permitting approval design and bid process. This is health and safety, public, we need this, right? But I wanted to give you a timeline on this because it's not, it's going to be this year. This year, we'll just get through the approval and permitting process part of it. Then come construction phase 1 would be July 2027. Phase 2 would be June 2028. And then completion, if all goes well. But the timeline keeps changing a little bit depending on requirements and conditional permitting, things that come up. Completion March 2029. And then we talk about our fleet. So how can we get any of this done if we can't go anywhere with our aging fleet, right? But we're looking at replacing 2 to 3 new Public Works vehicles. And when doing this exercise, again, this is not, I think this is what we need. No, we've actually planned out and worked with finance and looked at our CIP and long-term planning with vehicle. So the goal is that we replace these vehicles every year. Then by 5-7 years from now, we have pretty good new fleet. So that's what we, the last couple of years, Matt and I have discussed. Now, this year, we're going to have our telehandler rebuilt. We'd made that assessment. We came to you all, explained how that would work, and that we're looking forward to that.
Can you tell me again what that is?
Sure. So the telehandler is a lift that we use it for a variety of reasons. And the rehab is about $100,000. And what we did the analysis is that if we would buy a new one, it'd be $300,000. And when the tech came out, he told us, hey, this is a really good American built. Yes, it's 20 years old, but they don't make them like this anymore. You should rehab it, keep it, because you don't travel very far. You go like a mile, and it would extend your life expectancy another 10, 15, possibly 20 years if you rebuild this. And if you were to spend the money and get a new one, it won't be the same quality, the same power. It wouldn't. So we decided to go that route. We're going to have Vector upgrades. We're also going to invest in a snorkel lift, purchase a new one. This is a new piece of equipment that we haven't had. And the snorkel lift, what it does is, you know how you see the telehandler, the big one that we use to put lighting decorations down in town or in Wrigley, but it's a massive footprint. So the snorkel lift will be a lot smaller footprint, easy to maneuver down Front Street. Community service folks can use it. We don't have to always rely on Public Works to be able to drive that heavy equipment, and then it would be a lot safer. It'd just be a lot more efficient. And then a new excavator that's coming in the fall that was from last fiscal year. So when you see that new piece of equipment, you're like, I don't remember that, but it was a lot of this pieces of equipment, heavy machinery, require a lot of lead time. So finally, that one will arrive in fall. So preventative maintenance operations, I think the department heads talked about this a little bit, but we're looking forward, or I'm looking forward and preparing for the El Nino coming up in the fall. We'll be removing K-rail and debris all along Pebbly Beach. We'll be doing some smoke testing around town with PERC. What that does is tell us if any of our sewer mains are capturing some of the storm runoff and then going into the system where it shouldn't be. Then some other operational improvements, CKV parking lot, lot striping, tree removal, a new charging station, not new, but additional charging stations. Our annual trimming, that's already coming up, already meeting with possible contractors next week to bid that out. And then trash cans replacement strategically. Trash cans, I'm not sure if you all know, but they're really expensive. Each piece is $5,000. So looking to see what kind of upgrades, better robust trash cans we can have, looking at other cities and what they do, and be able to see how that would fit in our town and maybe cheaper, things like that. So doing that analysis. And then looking forward, the following 20 fiscal year. I'm already thinking about that in case, like I mentioned, we wouldn't be able to get everything done. So roll over some of these projects, continue prioritizing public health, safety projects, continue looking for grants. Just like Dave looked for that grant, all of a sudden that's a priority project because we got funding. Maintaining critical infrastructure, and again, long-term planning, like we did with finance and working through our fleet system. And I think that's it, if anybody has any.
So what kind of grant funding do you get for these kinds of projects?
That's a good question. So far, just at that $70,000 for the hazardous waste, right? But I think that's working with Aliana and her grant now. And then working with Dave on some of those projects that he has. Personally, what I've seen, it's really difficult on the infrastructure projects unless it provides access. It's doing something, above and beyond that. But we can try.
Does Townsend help advocate for things like this
Yes.
as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Look at the time.
Right on time.
My God.
Wow. Impressive.
So, yeah, I was going to say, that's right. We somehow did it.
We did. I talked fast, I think.
Beautiful.
So just to wrap up, at least the morning here, hopefully the message that we were able to convey, that staff was able to convey, is that, we're financially strong. We have a lot of really tremendous, creative, skilled people here that are not just, we're not just getting by, right? We're advancing, we're doing things, we're recognizing, what we have to preserve, what we have to improve upon, and there's a lot going on. There just is, it's I think that, hopefully we can keep this going, that there's a lot going on. Idea is, that's right now, but I think you're going to see this 3 years from now. We'll finish these projects, and you're going to have more projects coming on, just to get to the point where, for the next 50 years, we're on solid ground. So thank you.
No, I'll be underground.
Yeah. Well,
I'll be in a wall.
No, I am going to be in the wall too, but.
Well,
Okay.
hopefully somebody will be in Avalon, appreciating everything you guys did.
Taking care of our wall.
So we look forward to hearing from you guys this afternoon. Fire department has lunch for us across
Oh,
the street,
sweet.
or across the driveway, so.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you all. That was excellent. Should we wait for the city attorney, or should we just go back at it? He's in the hall on a phone call.
I can hear him talking.
Yeah, he'll probably be back out in a minute. We'll hold on.
No, if you're all ready, I think we can.
Okay, we're ready, and we're back from a wonderful lunch at the fire department. Thank you very much. Okay. How do you want to run the rest of the show, sir?
Well, if we want to, we're all here ready to take notes or come to the podium and answer questions. So if you want to take your turn going through, your guys.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I don't have many. I agree with everything that the department has brought. It's focused. It's got a good timeline, and so very impressed with the work that you guys did on that. I like the fact that we're going to bring the vehicle code back and really do some work on that. But I'd also like to look at us putting some restrictions on electric bikes and requiring that anybody on an electric bike wears a helmet. That, to me, a lot of people won't rent an electric bike or ride an electric bike if they have to wear the helmet. And hey, one less electric bike would be great. If the electric bikes were used for what they were meant to be used, would be one thing, but they're not. They are used like a little motorcycle, and they weave in, because they're a bike, do weave in and out of traffic. They don't follow any of the traffic rules. They don't even slow down when they get to a stop sign. It's just really scary for some people when they have somebody crash right in front of them. I've been trying to make left turns, and I will have an electric golf cart pull up right next to me, right in the lane as I'm trying to turn, because they're trying to go around me. So I really think that we really need to focus on that. And then the other thing that was mentioned that I'm a big advocate for is art in public spaces, because we have very little public art. It would be really nice to really add to that. But those would be mine, besides what we've already heard from the department heads. And something that has meant a lot to me is that I'm looking to the day that we actually finish a project and actually finish the project and not put off ending the project. The only other project that I have been involved, and it's not about personal whatever, but the only other project that I have been involved in that got to see us get to completion was when we took redevelopment money and fixed the sewer system, which then gave us great grades from Hilda Bay, and our beach went from being the worst beach in California to being one of the best ones. And that the following council took credit and did not share that credit with their previous council, since that was the council that actually voted to spend the money. So I just want to see us get a project done. It's just on my watch. That's, yeah.
Yesenia, Councilwoman?
Yes, love all of that. So yes to what he said. No, but seriously, also finishing up, I just felt extremely thankful for everything that was presented, not only because it was presented so well, but I just appreciate the fact that our staff is aligned across the board. They are not only advocating, but they're finding solutions. And I think what I also appreciated was how Jackie brought up that although we have all of these goals that do align with what we want planned, but things do come up. And the fact that we understand that and know that things change and priorities change. And it's mostly of just making sure that we can get all of that done as it comes our way. So thank you for making that a point. But one of the things that I did want to bring up, and of course it has to do with housing, and I want to start looking at an incentive program for folks that do house residents year-round. I know that one of the biggest topics that was brought up to us was the increase of sewer and salt water. And so being able to blend, not just that, but everything in general, you know, everybody that is putting their best foot forward to house our residents. I know there's going to be a lot of logistics and funding that may have to go into looking into that, but I think it's time that we start saying thank you to those that house a lot of our residents, giving our housing stock at the moment.
Do we thank those who are giving it, or do we incentivize those to now give it?
Both.
Okay.
All of the above.
Okay.
Can I just jump in real quick?
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm going to bring to council is a resolution in support of Prop 37, which is a new program to help first-time home buyers with down payment assistance. Because a lot of the communities that do down home, whatever,
Yeah.
their citizens can't qualify because they make too much money. And so this eases all of that and makes it easier for those people to go ahead and do it. So they're sending me a draft resolution that we can do to really have the state do something that we can get people into houses, because it's just, they can never qualify because they make too much money, so.
Excellent. Senya?
Oh, yes, sorry. I was looking back at my notes. Okay, workforce housing, we already did that one. Another one that I wanted to get into was updating not only council, but the community are what our plans are now for the drought, what that's starting to look like for us. So that was one of those. And another one was the relationship that we have with LASD. I know that there is no jurisdiction for us when it comes to their hiring, but I did want to do maybe some sort of orientation, training, to let them know that although they're the professionals here, that we fully understand that, but as much as we always say, the island is different, whether we like it or not. And if they want to integrate into our community, I would like them to be educated on that.
That's a big one on my list too, so we'll continue that conversation.
Yeah, and you're right. And while normally we don't have say on their personnel, we normally do have say on the captain. And in this situation, the way that came about, we didn't. After the last captain was removed, they replaced him with the current captain. So we weren't involved in that hiring process where normally we had been in the past. We didn't even get to lay that out to the captain, who was then doing the hiring of his staff. So yes, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, but that's it for me.
I've got a list that I think we've all talked about, but 2 years ago, we bought a new truck, July 2024. At that time, we were told the city was in the process of revising the Avalon Muni Code regarding residential stickers. It still hasn't been done. My goal is to get this on an agenda, get revisions done. Families should be able to pass down stickers more than once to family. Link needs to be extended to keep up with today's trucks and vehicles. All people who have been denied their residential sticker lately should be able to come to the council and have a hearing. I think I've talked to you about a couple of people. I think there needs to be a moratorium on Scions and Suzukis. I requested the number of Scions and Suzukis registered in Avalon. I sent 3 emails. I got 8 Suzukis, 24 Scions. An unofficial count done at 5 a.m. by me, when most would be home, 105 Scions, 53 Suzukis. So then I contacted the Conservancy. How many vehicles or these small autoettes are permitted for this year? 16 Scions, 32 Suzukis. The past city council let small vehicles be called autoettes for the purpose of them going in the hills. That's not happening. Commercial golf cart stickers are being used for other purposes, not just for work. Residential and commercial golf carts need a moratorium till we figure this out. Town is saturated, parking is a problem. We need to get an exemption from the state to allow Avalon, especially Catalina Yamaha, to buy and sell gas golf carts. 75% of residents cannot own an electric golf cart because of the laws, and there are no charging stations except up here, and I don't know anybody that's gonna bring their car and walk home. We were exempt from smog because of Bud Smith going to the state. It didn't take an agenda, it didn't take anything to get passed, just that it would be a pain in the butt for us to do smog checks over here. I reached out to Yesenia, who has a great relationship with Senator Gonzalez, and I think that's the way to go. Write something up, see what we can do. One second. I think we need workforce housing, but I think the city should not be involved. I would like to try some kind of workforce housing similar to Triana, where you could own, not rent. Small homes, modular homes, even the same size as out at Pebbly Beach. We've got the property out here, you could get some small homes into. Maybe work with the island company, put them up. You might have to pay a little lease, figure something out, but look at Sol Vista. When we bought up there, it was leased land, and it was, eventually the island company says, we'll give you a great deal, you're gonna own. So, I mean, ownership is better, I think, especially the young people in this town. And these modular homes and small homes are reasonable. The ones out at Pebbly, and that's been years now, somebody said were like $40,000 to put up. So even if it was $100,000, that would be a great deal for the young people in town, even the retirees that, you know, have worked here all their lives. And we need a hospital. I'm kind of tired of paying the $2 going back and forth on the boat, and every time you hear, no, we're not going to do it there, now it's smaller. There's got to be something that we can do to get the hospital built. Tim has a great relationship with the Army Corps of Engineers. They could put a tin hospital up for a while and build on the same site, demolish and build on the same site. That would probably save some money. I don't know, but maybe it's something worth looking into, but we do need a hospital. My other big pet peeve is blowers, as Public Works Jackie knows. A lot of small towns now have banned not just the gas blowers, but the electric blowers. In the morning, the city guys are blowing, and all it is dust going in the air, animal feces, bird feces, you know, dried urine, whatever you want. It's everywhere, and they say it's causing asthma in kids. It's bad for old people like me who walk. In fact, I don't go out that way unless I'm past the 6 o'clock hour, because at 6, going to the mall, you got the guys out there blowing, and every day it's the same thing. They blow it up and it comes back down. Nothing wrong with a broom and a dustpan. Easier and better. So I would like to see all electric and gas blowers banned in Avalon. It's bad for the wildlife, it's bad for the bees, it's bad for the butterflies. I mean, when you really start looking into some of this, you know, it's bad. So that's one of my things. And the other thing, and I'm sorry, Jackie, but you've got a great public works crew. I don't know why we paid $25,000 to work on those bench when you have a crew that could have done that. And then I didn't know who John Gilbert was, but somebody said he's the city electrician. Well, he could do Tremont, he could do those benches. I mean, he makes enough money. I don't know what else he does in town. I guess that's, but anyway, that's my bitch. I'd like to see all that taken care of, and, oh, and new guardrails.
You what?
Guardrails. We're missing some all over.
I know there's the one up that way, if you go
Just go on
behind.
Lower Terrace, they got a caution tape.
Oh, yeah, there should be, yeah.
You know, that's an accident and a liability.
Okay. Lisa?
First, just a note of thanks on everything that was brought up today, the number of projects that you're actively working on with the size of staffing that you have is always impressive to me. You all do a lot with little, and so I think that I feel very proud, especially in other rooms with other cities, being able to say what we do with how many people we have to do it. The things on my list, I know you brought up as an additional CIP that wasn't on Bob's list, but is on the big list of the Yacht Club Pier and looking at getting stairs down to the Yacht Club Beach as part of that project. The dive park, wanting to see if that can be brought up in discussions with the island company. I know we've talked a little bit about it over the last couple of years, but it's a place that should be much more beautiful and well managed than it is, and it's difficult because we're not able to make repairs that an owner of a space would be able to make.
And did you hear Lisa talk about, to do what they want to do, it's like $1.5 million they would have to raise,
Right.
the swim community and diving
Right.
community, yeah.
But I think being able to have even just ownership for the sake of small improvements in the meantime would make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Both in the wall, in the paving, in the things that we would be able to manage out there. And that project is only getting more expensive. I think it was $500,000 when I was trying to do it as part of Avalon Beautiful. So, looking at revitalizing, and I know this is part of a long-term plan too, but revitalizing and bringing back a skate park or a pump track park. I would love to have a cement skate park if possible, something that is long-term, that is not as subject to weather and wearing as a wooden or above-ground skate park would be. Street paving, I know we've got on the list already. Alley paving, we've got on the list already. The tech center, we've got on the list already. Animal safety, 2 pieces to that puzzle, which I know, Dave, you had mentioned we're coming up, one of them at least on a future agenda, was just the contract with the Humane Society and ensuring that that is set in perpetuity. I think the amount of funding they're asking for is above what we're able to currently budget for, and so trying to figure out how we can get to the point where the cost for services and the amount of money we're able to put into it makes sense for everyone. Michael, I definitely agree on the bike safety program. Donna made a comment right before we got started, hope you don't mind if I mention it, of parental responsibility with regard to minors and electric bikes, and trying to develop, it's good when we have programs where people can choose to go to them, but I think not having a required public safety training course on how to use and ride e-bicycles and what's required to wear them and what's required in terms of safety for fire safety, battery storage, battery replacement, and making sure that both the people operating them, whether they're children or adults, and if they are minors, their parents, are understanding what their responsibility is when it comes to bike safety and using essentially a motor vehicle on the streets of Avalon. Education is always a big thing for me. I can't thank city staff enough and the individual departments for putting out communication. I think we've really improved over the last few years, especially on public information, in sharing on social media. I would love to see us perhaps move some of that information into the newspaper for those people in town who are not on social media. I think it's a little bit of a gap space where we're missing occasionally. I'm not sure what the cost of that would be, or if the Islander would be happy to publish whatever it is that we're providing them. And also, hopefully the additional staff time wouldn't be super significant since most of the information is being written up for social media already anyway. I think ongoing education for council, for planning commission is huge as well. We had talked about in the process of interviewing the last round of planning commissioners, Mayor Marshall had a great idea of wanting to have some level of education for planning commissioners as well. Cal Cities offers a conference, I believe, every year for planning commission as well. Is that right?
Yeah.
So looking at that as a possibility for the planning commissioners to attend, I think we're only as good as the information we know. And so trying to grow that, I think, is essential. I'm excited Matt mentioned modern technology for the finance department. Modern technology training for both staff and community, I think, is really key. One of the pieces of the broadband initiatives that have been coming around for the last 5 years not only included infrastructure, but also educational training. And so I think the tech center is going to lend itself really well to that. But being able to have, whether it's drop-in classes, technical assistance on site, all of those things, I think, make us as a community stronger just by being able to understand current technology. I think, Dave, you've done a really great job of recognizing, especially at the annual holiday party, those employees that have been with us for a long time. Trying to come up with types of recognition like that, I think, is huge and really can help with morale especially on massive projects, understanding how many people and hours and time go into those projects. Sharing that out with the community, I think, is amazing. So let's maybe make that part of the in the works process for after the projects are done. Michael, you mentioned wanting to see projects finished. I think having ribbon cuttings and or groundbreaking ceremonies for all of these projects could be really fascinating to do. Again, I don't want to add extra cost to what we're having to do, but it's an idea. Just seeing a lot of other cities have those same types of functions and the community getting excited for those projects to see them happening. Okay, halfway done. The sewer system, I know Jackie and I, we've already had a chat, but wanting to both look at a couple pieces on the sewer system and the FOG program, the Fats, Oils, and Greases program. So one, having some kind of, I don't know if it's public outreach, I don't know if it should be public works or possibly community services, but having some kind of public outreach that's regular, and maybe even it's just a quarterly training with new employees from restaurants, where right now I feel like, especially with the summer influx, it's the time where we have the most usage of the system, and then we see the most issues with people dumping things they shouldn't be, rinsing down things they shouldn't be, and not understanding that. And so having, even maybe it's the start of summer season, great, if you haven't worked on the island before, this is a program your employee needs to go through and receive, it can be as short as a half hour or an hour, it doesn't need to be crazy long, but just something to show that every single person in that place is responsible for knowing what the requirements are to help ensure that we don't run into issues with that system when we need it the most to be operating. And then looking at an overall view of the water system on the island. It's something that I've already kind of talked about, and I actually am working with the Department of Sustainability from LA County to try to get a field trip for us to go check out the ARC system in Pico Rivera, but wanting to transition sewer to gray water instead of salt water, having a feasibility study for that done as part of the kind of next 12 to 18 months. And then wanting to look at what the cost of replacement for any parts of the system that would have to be changed would be. Seeing if we can do that section by section, looking at how that might increase the length of the sewer system. And I know Chief had mentioned wanting to look at water trucks and having something back up. Having salt water especially stored is not the best thing ever to do. So trying to see if we can't come up with something to be able to actually make that system better as a whole, that will hopefully also cut back on the number of repairs that have to get done over time, just because it won't be as corrosive. Looking at a biosolution that goes with the landfill wall building to be able to not only increase the height of the landfill right now, but then potentially to bring the height of the landfill down through whether it's anaerobic digestion or other means that are available to us now, looking at that as a solution. Have fire suppression for gray water, sewer system for gray water. You're already doing smoke testing, so I know that that's on your list too. Okay, legislative piece. For the CDBG grants, I know that we really appreciate getting those funds because it's helped us do a smaller project, but I also think there are a number of funds that we receive that are census block related. They go off of the number of people that show they live here as full-time residents and file that way on the census. And we know that that doesn't cover everyone. It doesn't cover the full number of residences we have. It doesn't account for the number of visitors that we have who basically live here a day or two out of the week. So trying to address how the census block impacts funding sources and the CDBG specifically, so that it includes levels of use versus levels of residency.
Good point.
I think it's something that I've always felt like that pool could be a little bit more for us, but because the census block is always smaller and it's shrinking, that we end up kind of getting screwed by that. So I'm excited to hear about Matt and looking at the credit card processing as an offer. I was curious to know if right now it sounds like it's piecemeal and it's fixing the issues short term, but wanted to know specifically after he mentioned the new ERP if that was going to be able to also encompass a full credit card processing system. I think trying to make the number of manual transactions that city staff has to do, because we know that the to-do list of things they want to do is always so much bigger than the time they have in a day. Being able to cut back on those manual transactions, I think, would significantly help that. The discussion around plugs and lights and things made me want to see if we can figure out. So I know that John has made a lot of improvements to, especially the facility around the stage recently, in trying to make that system better. Part of what I would love to see is new usage to be able to have not only city assets protected to be able to maintain and know that nobody is getting into those and touching those and unplugging those, but then also to have the ability to offer services for residents or visitors who need a charging access plug. I think that as people become more connected, that is going to be a thing that everyone's always going to be looking for. So how do we make that a service that's available, that is not just a, oh, I found a plug I'm going to go plug into?
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but the device, the big thing they have at the library,
Yes,
which I don't know how many
I think it's like 10 or 8 or 10
Yeah,
phones.
that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
That's a very cool
So they have like a tower charging station that you can leave your phone. It's like a flat base.
And it locks up.
Right,
so-
exactly. So it's safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that type of service, I think the mole especially probably would be a good spot to have one of those. And then the question that I brought up with Senator Gonzalez when she was here for the town hall over 4th of July, we definitely need to be looking at how we prepare for drought. I've always been a person who is very adamant about saving fresh water and trying not to be wasteful. And then during the last round of drought, where we went up to the highest level that we could possibly go of water rationing, we had 30 gallons a day for a household of 3 people. And so the challenge with that was then Edison came to the CPUC and got approved for a rate increase because they didn't make enough money while we were all saving water. They shouldn't be able to make extra money while we're all saving water. She did say that they've done something on the electricity side of the world where that if there are issues with electrical and being able to cut back on electricity use or having issues where they're not making enough money to do it, and then they end up with like an emergency or they have, some kind of shut off or something like that. There's a cap of what they can do. I don't think Edison should be able to make profit off of that money. They should be losing the profitability at that point. It should be a service that is offered because it's the bare minimum of service that they've been able to make money off of for decades and decades and decades. And so we'll be talking with her to try to push that through. Townsend, help me out. And then I think the other piece of the puzzle that I just want to learn more of, so perhaps an education study session. Donna, you had brought something up with regard to audits and wanting to understand. Her question was, you just trust that everyone's buying what they're supposed to be buying, that the things are approved. I know the majority of city staff and how they operate and the number of checks there are on expenditures. And so for me, the answer to you was yes, I think I'm very comfortable with that. But wanted to just look at something that a previous city employee had mentioned to me at one point in passing a decade ago, where they were talking about how something they were trying to do was manage knowing all of the different light bulbs that the city needed to operate. So it was knowing which light bulbs were on the City Hall campus and which ones were at the fire department and which ones were at the warehouse and at the harbor department and on the streets and up the streets if they were city-owned spaces, most of which were not. But so it was talking about trying to come up with not only having that comprehensive list, which I think we've gotten a lot better at doing, but then understanding or being able to model what expected costs are going to be based on that, being able to actually look at usage year over year and then have have an inventory system that allows you to budget for that. So that if you notice this light bulb cost $35 last year and this year it's gone up to $62, then we know automatically based on the number of light bulbs we have to buy for the next 3 years, it's going to go up by this much money. So I don't know if there's a system that kind of goes with what Matt was looking at in finance, what Jackie has in public works, what each of the departments uses for maintenance, but trying to see if there's some kind of system that could then just make us more noticeable on purchasing and cost increases, and being able to really try to, as much as possible, just because we know we have to do it sometimes, tighten our belt preemptively so we know that we're not purchasing things we either no longer need or are just going to sit for too long and may not be the best things to have sitting. Tremont Hall was also on the list of discussion for if we could talk about the potential for full ownership there. It's a place I think that offers so much to the community, both in terms of just recreation classes and space now, but then also has a lot of history and has a lot of kind of uniqueness to it. And I don't know if that's something that we can loop into the discussion with the Island Company.
Why would we, what do we pay for it now?
$1 a year.
Okay,
yeah.
why would we want to buy it?
No, well, the only reason I think that my concern is if they were ever to do something different with Tremont. There was talk of it before. That was my.
Oh, when they were talking about housing up on that, remember?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my hesitation was in protection of an asset, not necessarily in, I know that the cost of it to purchase would be probably more expensive. Potential for a swap of some sort, might be, maybe, I don't know.
Okay, good.
And then, so something that has always fascinated me, which I know that people are appreciative of not having to smog check vehicles, but the level of people with asthma, with medical issues due to the air that we do breathe here because our vehicles are not smog checked, I think is something that has always concerned me. So part of my concern and hearing your idea of not having to require the electric vehicle sales is that there are reasons why those are ideas that are moving forward. I will fully admit that we as a city are not anywhere near close enough ready for that. I don't know that the state is ready for it. I think that California often puts the cart before the horse in the hopes that everybody will catch up and it will be a successful program, which is how a lot of programs, especially with environmental health, have happened over the years. But it's something that I think we need to be looking at. So one of the things that I know Mayor Marshall has wanted to do for some time is look at vehicles with older engines. I think the Red Tag program has helped significantly with that in terms of vehicles that are no longer functional, that shouldn't be on the island anyway, that are being removed. And so that, I think, is a successful program. But I think that we should, with the vehicle code review, look at the hard line for sunsetting of particular vehicles. In conjunction with that, also looking at ways to work with the public that has those vehicles to ensure that they are able to find suitable replacements, be able to receive if there's some kind of, I don't know that there would be because most of them are so old they don't allow for a repayment program, but something like that. Yeah, that's what I got. That's where the list ends.
There's a blank page.
I know, there's still more in the book. It's gonna be there for next year.
Good job. Good
She
job.
just did a synopsis.
A lot of what y'all have said, street paving is going to be happening, excited about that. Discussions with the Humane Society, that's in the works, but I think there's still a lot of unresolved, like the 23 cats they have in their freezer and how they can get rid of those, let alone the cost of spay and neuter is extremely expensive for them. So anyway, whatever conversations continue with Humane Society, there's also, and I think code enforcement, John Council, if he made it to the meeting that y'all had yesterday, anyway, I think a lot of people are calling him when they could be calling us. And I think if, there's been a little chat about, what kind of compensation could we give John for all of the stuff that he does, because he's doing an incredible amount of work with animals that we should be dealing with. He shouldn't be the one to have to deal with them. But he's kind enough to do that. And there's an expense to what he does, because he has to, some of them he rehabilitates, there's food, there's everything. So anyway, more discussions about that, but I know we're trying to get another part-time code enforcement person. I was disappointed to hear that the one person didn't work out. And maybe that can help, because he's getting a lot of those late night calls. And I don't know if it's less expensive. This is a discussion for finance and everybody else. Is it cheap? Is it better to pay overtime to staff or to pay John something? Yeah, I don't know. So I know you're probably looking into that. Long term, I only have one thing on your list, Dave, is when we get this land thing squared away, hopefully we can come up with at least an above ground pool of some sort. That's what I would like to see. Because I think it's the $600,000 that's in the pool fund wouldn't be enough to cover a pool and all of the necessities of that and the maintenance. So sheriff's big on my list. I could talk for an hour on sheriff. And the role of code enforcement and sheriff. So that's why I wanted to get a copy of their contract to see what the heck it says, because I feel we're just being neglected by them, and they're not doing the things that we would like them to do. So anyway, lots of discussion about that. Of course, that DMV thing is so necessary, and I don't know, I guess, why it doesn't just take a phone call from a senator to say, hey, get your ass down there. I mean, I don't know what the holdup is in my mind. But thank you, Senator Gons, for what you are doing, but we need a little more push. Loud golf carts and vehicles, of course, we need to figure out maybe by next April how we want to start checking, even if it's every other one or something, because I know it was very time consuming when Jordan was doing that. It was all day, but there's certain ones that are really bad. And since the sheriff's department could stop them if they're really loud and cite them, but they don't. Code enforcement can't stop them because they can't deal with moving vehicles. So that's one of the things sheriffs could help us with and then again, whatever program we could come up with. And I guess we didn't check when he did it that people were stuffing the insides of their golf carts with foam and everything else so that they weren't making any noise, and then they got through being tested and then they removed all the stuff. So anyway, somebody was talking about transparency in the newspaper. I think that's a great idea. The thing is, I think we do a damn good job at letting the people know. The fact that social media trumps us all the time, and they don't ask the questions, they just do what people do on social media. And I know we can't sit there. I don't want us to have I don't think we have somebody on staff that sits there and looks at everything that people says and then tries to negate and, tell them what's really happening. I don't think we want to do that. That would be time consuming. But we just got to let people know, call the source of the problem or your situation or your issue. Don't just start going off on Facebook. Something about trash cans. Do we need better, God, I hate that, but better signage on those trash cans about what goes where, the ones downtown? You'd like to think of it as a whole like that. You're saying put your bottles in there and that kind of thing. People just don't get it. So anyway, if there's any way for better signage, that goes along with something. I don't know if it's possible, this is a question for Dave and the Harbor Department, if it's possible to get some kind of a float out on the water next year. I know what happened with that beautiful stuff you bought. The old ones seem to kind of work, and I know that's also probably something that the lifeguards don't want to have to deal with. However, that float out there was pretty awesome. So you can talk amongst yourselves. You got until next summer. Do we know that if we have any lighting deficiencies on the streets of Avalon, and if there are dark streets, do we want to keep them dark? Is it our responsibility to light them, or is it Edison's responsibility to light them? I don't know if anybody gets complaints about dark streets.
Yeah, I mean, we've notified Edison on our monthly meetings of, when we're aware of streetlights that are out.
Okay.
Very slow getting response and
Okay.
getting them repaired, but we do notify Edison of those.
Okay, but do we need additional lighting, do you think, or is that not an issue right now? Let's go.
Well, yeah, for example, we recognized a spot that we did feel we needed additional lighting. Once the spa reopened, that area, that street, that corner we
Right.
noticed was dark. Now there's more activity, so we did put in with Edison to have an additional street light put down there, so they
Excellent.
did recognize
Excellent.
that.
And I do realize it's not possible for all of your departments to tell us every little thing you do every day, because it's amazing. I'll mention something, you go, oh yeah, it's done, or, because it happened 2 days. Anyway, I really appreciate that.
No, not a
The
problem.
quick response. Something about, are we concerned about solar on city buildings? I don't know, I bring it up every once in a while. I don't know if that's something that y'all have said, no, Annie, we just don't need this, so let's drop this conversation, or if it's something you want to talk about in the future with the electric rates going up. And I'm curious, Matt, how much our electric bill has gone up since the new rates, because I've heard from the hoteliers, they're gone up $30,000 a month. So maybe we could look at our light bill and see if there's something that we need to do. Concerned about the homeless and bad weather. And if we have El Nino, there's going to be a lot of water, a lot of rain. I wish we had some kind of a plan so we would know to take either the people off the derelict boats or the guys that we know that are living wherever, so that they're not drenched on those days. I don't have the answer, but I'd like y'all to brainstorm, and if anybody has any ideas. I mean, I'm thinking bring a trailer over and just put bunks in it and just a place for them to sleep. I just gonna feel really bad. Beach access to the ocean, you probably are covering that pretty well with the ramp that you're going to put on South Beach. However, I still am curious about some kind of a lifeline to get down to the water safely on Middle Beach. Is there a possibility, being that there's not a lot of law enforcement on Front Street, and there's not, the bicycles are still going and the golf carts are still there. Could we have a better signage where those things are that just says no bikes, no golf carts on all of those, on Sumner and on Metropole, because it's just, and just make them big and ominous looking. And we're going to talk about vehicles and autoettes, so that whole new autoettes thing. Finance on the audits, thank you very much. Talked about the crane. Gray water, thank you, that's a good one. And and I know we're treading lightly, and I was talking to the gentleman and the guys in planning. The home inspections, yeah, that kind of thing, and I know that's a slippery slope, but at least if people knew it was available for them, if they if they feel there's a problem where they're renting,
Right.
maybe we start with those folks, and then maybe other people would be willing to say, no, I don't have heat in my house, I have broken windows, and all of these things, because that is existing in Avalon. People are living in substandard housing. And something that they can't, if they get it up to code or what they're supposed to be doing, they can't automatically raise the rent because they did something that should have been done years ago. And gray water, yes, that's here too. And interns, I noticed that John had an intern. I don't know how long the gentleman was here or whatever, but I wondered if we could look at internship programs, because people are aging out. The school is not providing the trades. whatever, and if we could try to do some kind of internship program where the liability perhaps isn't too great, maybe don't start with welding, but we need people to do the trades, and we're gonna need them within the city of Avalon. So if we could look at some other kind of internships along the way. I know, Harbor Department is great, Fire Department works beautifully, but we've got all these other areas into admin and the warehouse.
Right, and I would just quickly say, we had a intern a year or two ago, and maybe in finance, who now we brought back because we have two of our staff out on finance. So he was able to come back after graduation to serve in a paid capacity in that. And the internship that we did for the electrician this year, that was the first time we had done that. He was an employee that worked part-time in the harbor patrol, so we were able to find some hours for him to intern because he had an interest. He's an electrical engineering student. So
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. Thank you. Okay.
Can I add real quick? I know there is a lot and we all have a lot going on, but is there a way to be able to get all of our goals together and do follow-ups and deadlines just to see the progress?
So that's what I was going to throw out here. I think the best way, there's probably some of these things we could address right now or talk about right now, but maybe if we try to take everything you said, I made my notes, we'll review the tape again, go through it, summarize all of your goals, everything we talked about, put that in a format and kind of show you if we're addressing some of them already, where are we at with those? If not, how do we see this fitting into various programs we already have existing? If that makes sense to y'all. I think one of the things we already have in the works that we'd like to do is start addressing the vehicle code. So maybe if I could throw out an email and see if one of you would want to be in those meetings and we could talk. Okay, that'd be great. Donna would be one, and we could start talking that through. That's going to happen sooner rather than later, because our goal with that is before the next March renewal season starts. We want to get that done.
Right. Okay. It's interesting, though, you're talking about the smog thing, and years ago, I think we talked to Steve up in the canyon about that, and he says there's not enough vehicles to make it worthwhile due to the smog. But I bet we have a lot more vehicles now than we did 12 years ago or whatever.
Smog money to the state. It's not like in the
I'm
brake
sorry?
dust coming out. You give that money to the state. The brake dust coming out of the electric cars, the golf carts, is probably worse than any smog check. That's what a respiratory therapist said about it. I think it was Desert Hot Springs. Yeah. They're just, because they're using their golf carts on the street too.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
I think they're one of the cities that quit blowing because of
Oh, did they? Yeah. Are there any questions from the audience? This is a public meeting. No? Did you have something you want to say? Come on up. You're not shy. I know.
Marina Valsito, resident Avalon. Has solar energy, solar powered lights for around the town ever been considered?
You have a couple, don't we?
We do. We have, kind of a mixture. Like all the new lights on the rope and posts down there, those are solar lights. We've installed some other ones in certain areas. We look at it as often as possible, not only for the ease of not having to run wire, but for the cost.
Just thinking some of the big ones, usually you see them and they have that little solar panel on the top.
Yeah.
Could be something interesting to think about that could save some money.
So when we build the mall, I don't know how much we're looking at solar out there. I think we had that discussion before, didn't we, Bob?
And then I just had one more question. You were speaking on the vehicles, the smog checks and everything, which is a good thing. Would that include the rentals also?
Yeah, because they have to be registered. They have to be, yes.
Because I know it was talked about before that to just phase it out in the sense when one golf cart goes to then make sure that they get one that's within the, whatever it is, electric or whatever it happens to be. You can not buy another one that's not.
Because when we said that whole thing about the commercial vehicles, and correct me if I'm wrong, that they would have to be electric. Well, they had just one of the companies had just ordered, well, a long time before, a whole bunch of them, and they just happened to come in about the same time, that, you know, so they already had them on order a long time ago, so those were able to come. And I think, what did we come up with a rule that says they're not allowed, the golf cart rental places aren't allowed to sell those to anybody in Avalon? Did we not say that?
No, I don't think we said that. We thought that it would, the idea that new commercial vehicles have to be electric would prevent that. So theoretically, that was going to prevent that, but those then fell into the revamped definition of new commercial vehicles. If they were already here, they weren't counted.
But could we tighten up on saying that
Yes.
those two places
Yeah.
can't sell those in town, they have to get rid of them? And then they would have to come back with electric, right, or gas?
That's part of what we want to address, is
Just-
clarify that they have to be electric on new vehicle, new commercial.
Okay. Oh, and maybe a sign at the top of East Whitley, because there was just another crash there the other day from a rental vehicle. They come down a lot, and so do the bikes. East Whitley, there's a sign, but
Not big enough.
I don't know if a lot of them don't speak English.
Yeah, most people
So,
don't, unless they have their
Maybe
phones.
have it in a couple languages.
Yeah.
Or maybe just a visual golf
Of no
cart with
golf
a slash
cart.
through it, and a bike with a slash through it, and then no words.
Yeah,
Something like
I hear
that
you.
It might be better. It would be simple. So
Yeah.
thank you, Sunny, afterward. Yes, absolutely. All right. That's
Anything else? Mr. Garza, do you have anything?
I'm perfectly happy. Got a lot of notes.
Okay. Lynn? Come on up. Oh, she's just wondering, sure, what do you, come on, what do you want to talk about the cemetery?
Sure.
During the, selection of the process.
Sure, okay. Okay, perfect. Uh-huh. So somebody was commenting that they were cutting down a lot of the trees up. It's not Triana, what's the one right before? By the
Bird Park?
Bird Park Apartments, is that what they're called? They're cutting down all the trees and and how can they do that? Well, I didn't know the answer, but I think you were getting blamed for the trees, Chief. And I said it's probably because their fire insurance went up a whole lot and they had to get rid of trees that were so close to those apartments. But shed some light on this, please.
We started on the terraces and we've done the flats, and we've also been up at Bird Park Housing. We're not saying cut down the trees. We're giving them guidelines of the branches not overhanging, not being under. And there's certain things about your tree supposed to be trimmed so high up the canopy away from the building.
Right.
There are people calling back saying, "Can I cut down the tree?" And I said, please don't think I'm saying cut down the tree, but they're saying it's getting into my pipes, it's ruining my foundation. I'd rather just cut it down than trim it every year. So I'm not saying cut down the trees. I'm saying keep them away from your house, keep them trimmed, get rid of the dead stuff. But people are on their own are making the decision to get rid of them due to other problems as well.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. We would have these meetings more often. Okay, if there's nothing else, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.